My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft.
It is 7:52 a.m. and the people of the state are gang stalking with the city of Ontario, which is exactly what you've been listening to and observing and witnessing. And the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking at E Street, E as in Edward, in Euclid. Again, we're following north up Euclid Avenue, where they're at the Ovid Family Community Library, flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments, which is a senior citizen complex as well. And they are following while I am at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the people, 5SKJ051, are gang stalking with the city of Ontario, which is gang stalking with the police, that are in relevant position across the street where plane activity, there's no planes taking off from, there's no airport, no terminals. The airport's engaged in activity creation for surveillance, license 9MHN922, gang stalking with the Ontario police. And so is Arco, so is Chevron, so is Starbucks, so is a random bum standing next to me at the Starbucks sign, stalking in position like demons do. They're doing so under the fake sun. It's 7:53 a.m. The entity keeps the fake sun, as you know, over this same Starbucks, like I documented yesterday, where it wasn't over the Ovid Family Community Library like it was the previous day, as I'm documenting the environment where the Ontario Police Department are proven to be engaged in criminal surveillance, not law enforcement, hence a kidnapping pursuant to malicious assertions because they're engaging in criminal surveillance, not merely lying on me in order to engage in kidnapping with the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. That is gang stalking as well. It's 7:53 a.m. where the Ontario Police are engaged in surveillance in the parking lot where I documented the Ontario International Airport gang stalking me last night, adjacent to the Arco, where I documented the fake sun at 7:25 in the morning. That's the parking lot where the Ontario police are gang stalking. That's also the location where I documented the fake sun at 6:18 p.m. and the Ontario Police Department are on video gang stalking using the resources of a gang stalking police department, both their vehicles stalking and the helicopter, where I'm at the same location and the fake sun is over this same Starbucks at 6:18 p.m. That's where the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, using commercial planes and using what are police vehicles to engage in criminal surveillance. It's currently 7:54, and the people of the state license plate 7NWJ055 is going to be documented with regard to crossing path, gang stalking with the police. 9ECP526, the same. They're engaging in stalking on behalf of the City of Ontario. That's openly engaging in what is gang stalking, as I'm documenting on podcasts, as I'm documenting in images and on video. And this is the people of the state that are openly engaging in stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. They're acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. 80689W3, license 8CRM118. And they are engaged in federal stalking. This is the entity that's maintaining presence in this supernatural environment. The presence in the environment is what is accomplishing monitoring, criminal monitoring, 9MRL435. And the entity is also altogether aware of everything that I'm documenting and what I'm doing. So it's the police entering the bathroom when my vagina is exposed. 8ZES487. It's the police that are preparing the drinks inside of the Starbucks. It's the police that are entering and exiting the drive-thru. It's the police that are in all of the buildings around with regard to both employees and the third-party customers who represent the entirety of the people of the state. It's the entity that is acting vicariously on behalf of the gang stalker, which is the state. And they're all under the fake sun. They're all in that engineer light, and they're all stalking in that environment together. License plate 17665B4. The entity is doing so with knowledge that it's being documented, and that's relevant to federal prison. This is all going toward federal imprisonment, inevitable federal prison for the kidnapping that L. Martinez, Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, and C. Torres committed on May 29, 2025. It is currently 7:56 a.m., where the entity is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and you're mindful of the fake sun where I believe it's L. Rodriguez of the Ontario Police Department that I documented at 8:55 yesterday, when the entity was merely covering up the fake sun. And this is why you document, because you're not conducting any investigation or making any observations in a vacuum. The entity is under what is a fake sun. So this is 12 hours in total where a fake sun's remaining over this Starbucks. And so walking into the Starbucks is criminal engagement and what is an unlawful threat upon gang stalking with the people of the state. You are both engaging in the crime and incriminating the people of the state with you, who are not secretly acting on your behalf. The entire system is exposed. All right, and that's the Ontario police that entered in the Starbucks gang stalking. I left the Starbucks during the 12 p.m. hour, and the fake sun was over my head, where I documented the Ontario Police Department gang stalking. As I go to the Ovid Family Community Library, where the fake sun remain, and I exit where the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport that's flying over that airport, necessarily drifting, deviating far from takeoff from any airport, to be up north of over here at East Street, to be over the Ovid Family Community Library as well, to be over the TABOR Professional Building over along that street, where they're flying airplanes this morning, and you'll see the fake sun over me at G Street, moving as I move, to be over now the Starbucks. And this is documentation, in other words, of what the LAPD is doing under a fake sun, where it doesn't move at all. I work and live at Alvarado Gardens, and that's where the fake sun remains, where the Ontario Police Department is stalking in the same specific environment, not a natural environment, because the sun that's over me, where LAPD is gang stalking in helicopter and showing themselves to be demons, engaging in surveillance, that's the evidence that's also putting Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, B. Hook, and L. Martinez in prison, and the Ontario Police Department disbanded for criminal surveillance. It is currently 7:57 a.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is over me. At this Starbucks, where I'm documenting the fake sun has remained until 7:26 p.m. and that is replete with the Ontario Police Department gang stalking me at this Starbucks under this fake sun, which is the pattern of conduct by the state. And the people of the state are engaging in that P.O.C., including Omnitrans 1404972, vehicle 1328, crossing path, creating light activity, facilitating gang stalking by the Ontario Police, who are stalking in the path and doing so in an obvious manner, communicating an unlawful threat, just like they are in a dark parking lot last night, just like they are in helicopter following me around in the city. All right. just like they are entering into the venue communicating a threat like C. Torres, C. Watson, and L. Rodriguez have committed, while that department knows that I am documenting them as the kidnappers and the sex offenders and the stalkers and the demons that they are. It is currently 7:58 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, license 9GLD 958. The entity amplifying train activity, license FORD2X7 8ZKY 682. (9SYA 907) and license 8HNR 252. The people of the state at Starbucks are merely entering into the venue, sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring in that specific environment conducive that is designed for ongoing gang stalking by the government. None of them are private citizens. They're all state actors. They're all acting in concert with the police, with the city of Ontario that's engaging in criminal surveillance, as the evidence well more than proves beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way. And the entity is still stalking when their secret engagement in that system has failed, and that's showing their obsession that they've had from the outset, their mental illness that they've suffered at the outset, and their criminal engagement and surveillance with the people of the state. It's 8 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the people of the state who are sex offenders, the same with the city of Ontario that's gang stalking, interested in monitoring in bathrooms, those are the sex offenders that are going to be disbanded from law enforcement, and they're incentivizing sexual violence amongst sex offenders that engage in very psychopathic behavior, very demented behavior, pacing in and out of bathrooms while they're monitoring corporately a woman in a bathroom. This is ongoing violence against a woman that the government, the police are engaging in, and that they're incentivizing engagement in with the people of the state. This is the entity that's entering in real time while you document. That's a sex offender, the demons that stalk with impossible light, entering into the bathroom stall to engage in activity creation. Activity creation includes amplified audible activity, which is demonic, inside of the stall. The entities engaging in that P.O.C. with knowledge that they're being documented, and you need to understand that it's directly attributed to the demons that are stalking in helicopters, the demons that are stalking in police vehicles, criminally misusing resources of the government to engage in surveillance while they are aware of the fact that it's being documented as well. So that's the entity that enters into the bathroom through a particularly obnoxious demon, a violent sex offender, monitoring my vagina on behalf of the Ontario Police Department, and Starbucks, which is engaging in what is stalking women in bathrooms in concert with women that enter in to engage in sexual violence, and doing so under the guise of creating audible activity in the bathroom is the same P.O.C. They were doing it through amplified audible activity seconds ago, and as I began documenting it, you have a demon that comes into the bathroom to create activity in my presence. While they're all stalking, monitoring my vagina while driving on Euclid Avenue, driving on East Street, flying over like I documented, standing outside, and like the Ontario Police is always doing in helicopters and in vehicles, monitoring my vagina all together. Okay, this is the entity that's engaging in that sexual violence, and it's at 507 and Euclid Avenue, where they're engaging in what is stalking and monitoring in a bathroom, which Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for, and the government's going to be prosecuted for. It's the perpetual sex offense, and the entity sends in a sex offender to stalk in the bathroom and create activity, which is the entity's knowledge that they're being documented as well, and it's the same P.O.C. where the impossible light activity is present, where the fake sun is present for 12 hours, where the demons are stalking with sensational activity, harassing with the same elements of monitoring while they know that they're being documented. This is the sex offense. This is P.O.C. at Starbucks. It's 8:11 a.m. All right, so what you see is the people of the state entering in, and the Starbucks changes their policy with regard to criminal monitoring. You don't have to be a customer to go in and engage in bathroom monitoring with them. They do the same thing with regard to those that purchase drinks, but any random sex offender is needed with regard to maintaining activity, and especially when I'm documenting amplified audible activity in the bathroom walls. So the entity sends in a sex offender. License 5SK313 is gang stalking in relevant position. They're gang stalking at ARCO. They're monitoring my vagina with the sex sex offender that enters into the bathroom and the sex offenders inside of Starbucks that are pacing around, monitoring my vagina together. They're monitoring at a Chevron across the street, where they're monitoring with the sex offender that enters into the bathroom to engage in activity as I begin documenting the sex offense inside of the private space, where the entity comes in and enters with knowledge that they're being documented. This is P.O.C. These are demons that come into the bathroom stalking, and they're stalking as an entity. Okay, that's the Ontario police that enters in vicariously stalking and monitoring my vagina, which is no legitimate interest, while they are at that engaging in unconstitutional and criminal surveillance. Again, license plate 5SSK313. Demons entering in and not having to be customers while they're engaging in gang stalking with the very heavily documented Starbucks personnel. These demons that are wearing green aprons, gang stalking and monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. That's what Starbucks is engaging in. It's 8:14 a.m. P.O.C. deviating from the Starbucks policy in order to monitor me. Hi, Melton, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hi, Melton, how are you? Nice matching hair.
Thank you.
Can I get hot tea? I would like the, I think it's called the Mint Majesty.
Mint Majesty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably get that on a refill. So
Okay.
I was told to let you guys know that, so you can give me a certain type of cup. I don't know. Other than that, can I get a cup of ice as well?
Yeah.
And is you guys' lead here? Is it Elena or Raquel?
Wait for one, I'm sorry?
Your lead? Is any of your leads here?
No, I have one of them. His name is Vincent.
Oh, never mind. I haven't met him. I thought it was either Elena or Raquel. Okay.
No, yeah, they're not in today.
All right. Thank you. That'll be it. Yeah, I think that'll be it.
Okay. And then can I get your name?
I'm Erica.
Erica?
Yeah.
With the C or with the K?
Thank you, Melton. It's with the C, the proper way,
You got it.
the correct way.
Oh, it's gonna be 3:45, and let me grab your tea.
Okay. All right, they are in relevant position monitoring my vagina while the people of the state enter in, not making any purchases, running into the bathroom with simultaneity to operation of my device. And amplified audible activity is what's sounding inside of the women's restroom while they are also monitoring. Entering into the women's restroom is the method when I begin documenting the sex offense. And this is on behalf of the Ontario police that are following day and night, obsessed with my vagina. And so are the people of the state. These are the sex offenses of the demon possessed that are gang stalking. It's 8:16 a.m.
And it's gonna be the app, the card.
You said it's gonna. Oh, yeah, the card. Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
And then here's that back. And then that's how much you have left on your card still, just in case you were wondering.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Here's your cup of ice. And then your
Do
tea.
you mind if I get a straw as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Have a good one. Well, I'll see you later. All right, Melton, very courteous, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. Very courteous. Remember, it's all activity creation. A demon is engaging in what is absolute harm and harassment and terrorism while engineered light is inside of the venue, and engaging in what is the customary requirement of your experience at Starbucks when you don't know that you're being gang stalked, when you don't know that you're being monitored by this company that's profiting from domestic terrorism. Melton is engaged in what is pacing with all the rest of the demons, preparing drinks, and literally the drink preparation is what is audible activity when they're monitoring my vagina together in relevant position. That's why the sounds of amplified audible activity is occurring in the bathroom. And they are at the same time making money at Starbucks and engaging in sexual violence at the same time. So imagine that when you are, next time if you support Satan, because this is Satan's company, Starbucks hires demons, and Starbucks is cooperative with regard to criminal surveillance of American citizens. And Starbucks is, in other words, an enemy of the Constitution and an enemy of the American freedoms that you are conditioned to think that you have, but you're also encouraged to forget about it and not learn about it and not know about it while it's being violated, by the way. So anyway, they're engaging in what is monitoring my vagina, and I wanted you to hear the entity that's engaging in psychopathic behavior. They maintain that ongoing demeanor while they're stalking with impossible light, while I'm being harassed and terrorized with impossible light by the demons that are entering in and driving outside of the venue, which includes the Ontario Police Department, includes helicopter activity. This is the same venue where you're hearing Melton being so courteous, and I'm engaging in what is documenting ongoing terrorism and harassment by the police who are sharing in that pattern of conduct with Melton and all of the demons that are gang stalking, and they are engaging in the sex offense, committing it while a demon enters the bathroom. These are the same demons stalked with impossible light activity, and then they enter in the bathroom. That's the ultimate in terrorism and sexual violence in the communication of a threat, analogous to the Ontario Police kidnapping, stalking, and engaging in what is stalking in a dark parking lot, stalking me every night in helicopter. The sex offender enters into the restroom, and that is the same police department, by the way, the same government that's vicariously entering into the restroom, stalking everywhere that you go, including into bathrooms. It is currently 8:19 a.m. This is the prosecution of the state of California and showing you all of the faces of that criminal, which is Satan, that is engaging in what is the demonic system of federal group stalking and monitoring. There's no race accepted. There's no age accepted. There's no physical handicap exception. There is no family exception. The demons like you to see when they know I'm documenting, they'll send in the demons with the little kids. They'll send them in with pets. They'll send them in with whatever it is that you attribute to be some sort of compassionate, sympathetic view. It is absolutely irrelevant, and what you're looking at, it actually informs you, because you need to know that these demons are very malicious, and it's a threat to the public while they're hiding in bathrooms, gang stalking, and engaging in what is monitoring in the fake sun while they're playing with their pets and their babies, because that's what you're looking at. They are thinking you're going to focus on looking at their kids, their little demons. They're gang stalking with them. It's not cute and adorable at all, and it's absolutely incriminating. It's telling more of the secrets of the sick system and these the demon-possessed, the terrorists that are gang stalking, that are engaging in criminal surveillance. And this is what the entity, again, it's absolutely missing the whole point when you're documenting gang stalking, okay? The entity is engaging in what is a pattern of conduct, and it doesn't help the police department. It shows you that the police department is gang stalking with all of the people of the state, and maintaining what is a failed and unpersuasive appearance of what's supposed to be, I guess, rebutting, superseding the pattern of conduct under a fake sun. So you're supposed to forget that there's a fake sun because you see a child jumping up and down in engineer light where the police are stalking in helicopters. That's more creepy, and it's not less incriminating. This is the entity that cannot address facts, that requires illusions, and they're engaging in sexual violence in doing so. So those are the things that you're mindful of, that you're cognizant about, that's at the forefront of your mind when they put in front of you, because what I'm documenting is what the demon-possessed choose to put in front of you. They put their children in front of you. They cross path in the engineer light under the fake sun amongst amplified audible activity in the business establishments such as Starbucks, and in concert with the gang stalking police that are going to be disbanded. Okay, under the fake sun at 8:20 a.m., the Ontario Police, as they listen to me document, cross path with Melton, who was gang stalking on behalf of the city police in Ontario, which Starbucks as a company, they don't have any business rights, they don't have any constitutional protection to engage in criminal surveillance like they are, and simultaneously make money by it and through it. It is the prosecution of the people of the state, and it's also going to be the prosecution of those employees. It's going to be the prosecution of the state of California. It's 8:22, and all of that P.O.C. is enveloped within Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is where the fake sun remains. This is where the engineer light is flying in the air and grows and expands. And this is where the entity is stalking while they are simultaneously making purchases and selling products. And it's the P.O.C. It is currently 8:22 a.m. And this is documentation of the perpetual sex offense. P.O.C. All right, pay attention to the maintenance of the fake sun. It's over me at the TABOR Professional Building, where the entity was gang stalking. That's where the fake sun rises, where I wake up in the morning. You can see it as I walk towards Starbucks, the entity maintaining that fake sun as I captured in the sky space. And the entity's fake sun is aimed directly into Starbucks. Remember, when I'm traveling to the Ovid Family Community Library and I'm already there, and I capture images of the fake sun over me, which is what I took screenshots of, and the demons were triggered by it. And they're engaging in what is amplified plane activity, as I was taking screenshots for you to look at, which is already published to the Google Drive for June 13, 2025. So the entity is engaging in, so the entity is engaging in, at the moment that I stop recording right now, which one I want to re-record, at 8:23 a.m., you'll see the fake sun right in alignment to me inside of the Starbucks. It's not in Los Angeles, where LAPD is gang stalking as you compare the crime scenes where the entity that is demon-possessed is stalking in a specific environment that is supernatural, where a fake sun remains over me for the duration of the day, and the entity is engaging in what is criminal surveillance with the police departments that are engaging in that criminal system, which is a violation of your privacy, a violation of your constitutional rights, a violation of your right to an unlawful search, your violation of your right to be free from what is federal stalking, criminal surveillance by the state that has no legitimate interest in doing it in the first place. It's even superseding where there's a warrant or probable cause to engage in an investigation for some crime that you've allegedly committed. This is outside of that, and there's no warrant or probable cause to engage in criminal surveillance of all of your life, stalking you on a ceaseless basis, including in places like bathrooms, and doing it vicariously through the people of the state. There is no such constitutional authority. It doesn't exist, and this is what the entity is doing. And they're doing it in an environment that is irreconcilable as you compare, juxtapose with what LAPD is doing, where LAPD is doing it, and how they're doing it. And they're doing it in a specific environment that is mutually exclusive to where the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department are doing it with the people of the state, in a whole cartoon environment where a sun remains all day long over me. And remains as I remain and moves as I move, which is to the exclusion of everyone else. And that's also how you know who all is being targeted. And it's not anybody else that's maintaining documentation about it and maintaining any ability to articulate it and legally reason through what they are actually doing, knowing what they're doing and detailing it for you. The entity is gang stalking me specifically, and it's even proven through the specific environment which is demonic, showing who these demons, in fact, are stalking. And it is myself. And that's what you'll see. The fake sun begins rising, shining. And the engineer light becomes more concentrated at the moment that I stop recording. And I took a picture of that. You'll see that uploaded to the Google Drive, and then you're always mindful of the bigger picture. In Los Angeles, LAPD is gang stalking at this time of year. I'm still living in LA. I'm remaining at Alvarado Gardens. And Speaker Companies is engaged in criminal surveillance in the workplace, which is a basis of recovery. I'm subject to terrorism and domestic psychological torture in the workplace. That's not just ordinary harassment, and it's of a federal level, and it's by the government. And it's occurring also in my private space in my apartment home at Alvarado Gardens, where there's no sun that is at the same time in alignment with my living room window and the window of Starbucks facing Euclid Avenue as I am facing the direction south. At 8:23 a.m. And that's the evidence that exists on the record, and both pictures and in videos, where I'm documenting the entity keeping a fake sun over me from morning until evening, where the Los Angeles Police Department is gang stalking, notably by helicopter, engaging in criminal summoning in that specific environment with regard to the maintenance of what is audible activity in that engineer light, while the people of the state are just pacing around. And when you're understanding and recognizing that specific environment, that's supernatural, 8YPU 797, crossing path at 8:26 a.m., then you are, when you're recognizing that specific environment, then you're understanding all that the population is doing is maintaining one face after another, which is pacing. And with regard to letting you know about what's spiritually happening, Satan himself is a spirit and is using all of these bodies at the same time and is pacing back and forth amongst me, and it's group stalking. And it's happening in that environment where you are physically able, vehicle 1118, again, crossing path, that was the one gang stalking into the fake sun at 12 p.m., which is over me at 8:23. And they're doing so because I'm describing the spiritual significance of what the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department are engaging in. When you're aware of what the spirit of Satan is doing through a population, then you're able to recognize it's the same entity, literally, it's the same demonic entity that's using all the bodies together who are, so in other words, the same person, think of it this way, one person that's putting on a mask that says Jane, and the same person puts on another mask that says Michael, and the same person puts on another mask that says Thomas, but it's the same Joe. Joe is the one that's stalking. He's just putting on a different mask every time he's walking by you. He's going by you in a vehicle, then he goes by you on a motorcycle, and then he's by you when you see with a different mask on that says Thomas across the street at the gas station, and it's the same Joe. With regard to this demon possession, with regard to this demonic environment where the demon possessed are physically, these are people that are separate. They're not getting up in the morning, having a meeting. I'm going to drive by at this time, and you're going to drive by at this time. I get up and I go about what it is that I do. The demon possessed are of this spiritual condition. They're in darkness. And the spirit of Satan, which is invisible, is occupying their bodies, and they are engaging in their obsession with following me around. And the evidence of them following me around in the physical is the fake sun for you to witness and know the truth about what I'm telling you about what they're doing. You witness it through the supernatural, the maintenance of the sun over me all day long. That's how you're aware of it's the same audience that's stalking me everywhere that I'm going. And also the audience is intentionally doing so, knowing who I am, evident through that supernatural environment that remains around me. It's an identifying factor. And in addition to that, you're getting past what is a superficial veil, where you're looking at people as they are individuals, but you're looking at, with regard to this system, it's not individualized, and this is a demonic activity. So you have different vessels, different bodies, and it's the same entity. So the different vehicles, the different license plates, it's the same entity, one after another, after another, after another, pacing around me in that environment that also lets you know about what's happening with regard to stalking as one, and doing so in a plethora of different manners: driving, flying, walking, skating, whatever it is that they're doing, while sleeping, while working at the venue, maintaining that is loitering in the path, which is how business establishments will be prosecuted for stalking, where the government's engaged in criminal monitoring. And the entity is doing so with regard to understanding the spiritual nature of what the demon-possessed are doing, and they're doing so as an entity. And that entity is what provides that diligent and demonic synchronicity. It's not intelligence, because they're not smart. I've shown you, and I'm hovering very high above where the demons are operating with regard to how their system operates and what they're doing and how they do it. And they are just engaging in it. There's no other way for them to do it. In other words, I've shown you and told you what they're doing. And they have no choice but to, well, they have a choice to stop gang stalking. Obviously, they're obsessed and they're still doing it, but there is no other way for them to do it. I've told their secrets, and that's how I'm able to tell you they're doing X, Y, and Z, and I hold up my camera and you see them doing X, Y, and Z. And they're engaging in what is a system of gang stalking, and they're the demon-possessed, and they're in a demonic environment, and it is the same Joe, just wearing a different mask. That is a different license plate, that is a different venue, that is a different name, for example, a different race, age, height, weight, whatever. It's the same demon possession, it's the same pattern of conduct, it's the same P.O.C, okay? And with regard to prosecuting the government, it's the same city of Ontario. And with regard to bigger picture, LA and Ontario, it's the same state. It's the same government that's gang stalking and throughout the state. They're engaging in an identical pattern of conduct, including the specific environment which defies nature. The sun that's over me in the presence of LAPD via helicopter is not the natural environment where Ontario PD, in concert with the people of the state, are maintaining presence. It's showing you the crime scene and showing you the focal point, which is myself. All right, in this cartoon environment, I am the center of the demon's universe because they're stalking. All right, it is currently 8:31 a.m. and that's the prosecution of Starbucks. It represents the people of the state, where you drain the pockets and you punish through a civil prosecution. You prosecute criminally as well. It is currently 8:31 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, 8:50 a.m., the demonic synchronicity of the Ontario Fire Department and the demons that are pacing inside of the Starbucks while they are driving that will be north on Euclid Avenue and walking south inside of the cafe, pacing under the fake sun that's over me at 507 North Euclid Avenue. 8:55 a.m., Ontario Police Department are gang stalking inside of this cafe. Covering up the fake sun is no deviation from the P.O.C. It's speaking to criminal surveillance, where the demons know that they've been documented and exposed under a fake sun, engaging in the satanic targeting system of gang stalking. And the next day, you'll see it shining again. You'll even see it shining 10 minutes later, which is exactly what happened yesterday, by the way. But nonetheless, Ontario Fire pacing with the demons inside of the cafe, engaging in criminal summoning. And this is, again, the demons that are very much pathetic and focused on me. And that's because they're very fearful of everything that I speak of. They're very fearful of everything that I publish. And they're very fearful while their obsession with me is being exposed. And the reality is that you have what is Starbucks employees, you have what are the people of the state that are all of the same condition, and they're obsessed with me while they're stalking. And they're doing things such as using fire departments, police departments, airports, including helicopters, and people devoting the use of their businesses for monitoring and stalking me. This is the reality of the agenda of the demon-possessed that are shown to be very, very pathetic. It's the devotion of the living dead. They are literally just marching, hollowed out zombies that are pacing all around incessantly around me, flinging light, looking crazy. That's as crazy as they need to look, because you need to know about who they are, you need to know what they're doing, and it's actually very embarrassing and pathetic. It's very small, but it's also very threatening and terrorizing when they're targeting American citizens who are suffering in silence. So this is the Ontario Fire Department, who you already know, under the fake sun. All they're doing is stalking, and it's the same with the entire city of Ontario. The secret has been out. The city of Ontario is acting in sync with the demons inside of the cafe under the fake sun at Starbucks at Euclid and East Street, where the entity is maintaining that light source in blatant defiance of any sort of natural environment. It's obvious and plain, in other words. The LAPD is gang stalking me in Los Angeles at this time of year. It's June 14, 2025. In 2024, the entity was keeping the fake sun as though the center of the universe was over me at Alvarado Gardens from sunrise until sunset. The entity is already exposed. I'm documenting and detailing all of the tactics that are pathetic because they're scared about when I log onto the Wi-Fi. They're scared about the details of the kidnapping I'm going to put on the internet. They're scared about what it is that I'm going to document on the podcast. They're scared about everything that they engage in, and I document it and then I publish it. All right. And the entity is pacing into the bathroom while the demons are pacing on Euclid Avenue. They're in sync. And they're doing so with regard to the fake sun that's speaking to all of them stalking me, and siren sounding based on not some emergency. The emergency is, what is it that I'm publishing? What is it that I'm documenting? My vagina is exposed. What is it that I'm doing? Okay, it's 8:53 a.m. That's criminal summoning by Starbucks as well. They're engaging in that element and in sync with the Ontario Fire Department, which is the city of Ontario gang stalking, which goes right to the demons that are going to federal prison of the Ontario Police Department. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook. This is P.O.C. All right, this is documentation about ongoing obstruction of justice that the kidnappers and the stalkers, the Ontario Police Department, this is the state. This is the entity that's gang stalking, that's stalking in the middle of the night, using helicopters, stalking as a population, pacing around me at night under a fake moon, during the day under a fake sun, pacing behind me in the bathroom at Starbucks, both the employees and the gang stalking patrons under the fake sun and an engineered light, while I'm in operation of my devices and they're engaging in ongoing surveillance. All of that is with regard to what I expounded upon last night when I stated exactly what is the case, that the demon possessed that engage in things that I document and publish on the internet is not a show of what is fearlessness, not a show of some sort of defiant act by demons that are resisting and showing that they're disregarding and ignoring the authoritative means whereby I'm letting them know that they're going to be disbanded, they're going to federal prison, and everybody's going to know that they're demons. The entity is very much fearful, and that's exactly why I stated this is the case. That's why they're up at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. That's why they're in Starbucks pacing around me now. That's why they engage in the ridiculous and openly crazy conduct of throwing light around while they're pacing around in circles looking like crazy people. Those are the demons that are gang stalking. And that's why they engaged in what is my published podcast on YouTube was made private after I published it. I don't make them I don't publish them and then make them private on the internet. It's the demons that are scared of everything that I'm speaking about them regarding the truth that I expose, as they are engaged in obsessively stalking me, and then they're foolishly engaging in it where I record it and I publish it, and they engage in it still, and then they engage in what is floundering and going in a frenzy, both trying to stop me from publishing it, and then once it's published, trying to conceal it on the venue of the internet. This is on third-party facilitating venue YouTube, where surveillance is underway. YouTube is a third party, and it's also pursuant to federal stalking. The demon possessed that are monitoring are engaging in what is surveillance with the intent to obstruct justice, such as what I will take a picture of. It's published on my podcast, so Spotify is the host, and it is published to more than one platform. YouTube, where all of the evidence, the video evidence that is published online, and where the totality of that video documentation is published, including the podcast, is where the demons are particularly concerned about you hearing the totality of the podcast documentation, speaking about how fearful, how paranoid, how scared the demon possessed are, who are also stalking me in dark parking lots, going by the name of, for you to be confused, for you to confuse them with law enforcement, and they're not. It's the Ontario Fake Police Department that engaged in stalking, and then they're doing that with the people of the state. Starbucks is stalking with the Ontario Police Department. Starbucks is stalking in bathrooms with the Ontario Police Department. That's how pathetic the Ontario Police Department is. But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in what is then going behind and making that published podcast, which is a federal offense. It's relevant to L. Martinez going to federal prison, C. Torres going to federal prison, B. Hook going to federal prison, and Nathan Morgan going to federal prison. Jason Isaac Fields going to federal prison. Tracy Banks, federal prison, but that particular one, she belongs in a mental asylum. So all of them do. But Tracy Banks' mental illness is, I've been documenting her gang stalking me and the malice with which is showing a severe and unhinged psychopath in need of severe and routine, regular, built into her confinement in a federal facility such that a mental asylum is fitting. But the entity, it's relevant to the confinement that they're subject to. When the entity is going behind, they're stalking you in furtherance of murder and kidnapping you, and then trying to suppress the evidence. That's the stalker themselves, suppressing the evidence that you publish on the venue of the internet while you're trying to stalk me in the middle of the night in helicopters and police vehicles. Okay, with the whole demon-possessed population that are stalking, doing things like stalking in bathrooms. That's how fearful they are. That's how paranoid, that's how sick, and that's how obsessed they are. Those are the demons that are gang stalking. Gang stalking is also underway, surveillance that is underway on the venue of the internet, where the published podcast, as you can hear me speaking in real time, the videos that I publish, they're converted into audio on the podcast, and that's exactly what the demon-possessed do not, that's exactly what the Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario, the government, the state of California doesn't want you to hear, and it's rendered as private as of 9:42 a.m. I'm going to take a picture of it, I'm going to include it in this podcast, because it's relevant for what is criminal obstruction of justice when demons are going to federal prison for it. Okay, it's currently 9:42 a.m. on June 14, 2024. That published podcast regarding June 13, 2025 is it's published and it's made private so that you can't view it. That's the only reason why. But it's published online, and I'm going to convert that to public, where the demons that are gang stalking, they just don't want you to know about the fact that they're gang stalking and that they're obsessed with my vagina, that they're following me around, that they're throwing light like psychopathic stalkers, demons, out of the pit of hell, engaging in weird, creepy conduct with weird light while they're stalking me, which ties them all together, throwing light around while they're stalking. Okay, in a cartoon environment showing how sick they are in their minds. The crazier the light activity, the crazier the entity. That's speaking to the crazy people that are gang stalking, the demon possessed. It's currently 9:42 a.m., 9:43 a.m. now. And this is P.O.C. with regard to obstruction of justice that Starbucks is engaging in. They're in here pacing around like in a frenzy while I'm publishing all the evidence, the rest from last night and this morning, where the entity is stalking me from place to place. And I maintain real-time documentation that I'm publishing online, and I am never in a position where you don't see it published on YouTube. It's because the entity is engaged in Title 18, and so I've already published that fact, and that's what you already know when the entity is engaged in what is concealing podcast that you know Erica Spencer has published, and I've also addressed the entity that is engaged in criminal surveillance, trying to hide that evidence from the public, while they're still at the same time stalking me. Stalking in real time, hovering stalking. It is currently 9:43 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, I want to bring another bit of factual information for you, providing context about what is embarrassing to the demons who are gang stalking as a corrupt police department. They're feigning to be police officers. It's Satan that's playing dress up, and they dress up in uniforms so that you can mistake them for those that have actual authority under the law, that are not engaged in what is stalking and calling that law enforcement and exercising authority under the law when you're engaged in criminal activity. And that's how you procure information about purported crimes committed by the civilian population. You're engaged in what is stalking, that's in surveillance, that's not law enforcement, and it's literally showing the inability to actually be in law enforcement. You're supposed to be able to gather facts and conduct investigations pursuant to the constitutional authority that you are given in order to do that. They're not even capable of doing that while they're engaged in gang stalking. They're demonstrating that they're unfit and disqualified and incapable of being legitimate law enforcement officers. But nonetheless, let me tell you about some information. The entities are making, again, documentation that they make private is because they're embarrassed by it. And it's not only about embarrassment, because I am embarrassing the demons that are going to federal prison, that are being disbanded, and that are going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism as a state. But it is relevant to obstruction of justice. It's relevant to the kidnapping. It's relevant to an ongoing threat to my life while they are still stalking and monitoring as a government. All right, so on June 11, 2025, where I'm documenting the demon that is gang stalking representing themselves as a police department, Ontario Police. They're doing so in Engineer Light. It's on video. They're doing it pursuant to the fictitious exercise of authority under the law while they are stalking the entire time. So this is how preposterous the criminal conduct of a police department, and then they're at the same time trying to put on a hat of being a legitimate law enforcement agency. And the two are not having, this is what I'm documenting, and that's why he's going to federal prison, the one that's gang stalking, on June 11, 2025 at 1:41 a.m. on video. This demon has perpendicular shadows, 2 shadows, and then it turns into 3 shadows when you pay attention to the light activity. When he's at the museum at 1:41 a.m. stalking in the path with flashlight. That's a demon stalking with light. Like you see the Ontario Police Department doing last night, June 13, 2025, in the middle of that dark parking lot, and those 2 vehicles that are cuddled together with their headlights on, they're stalking in the path in the engineered environment with light. That's what this demon is doing under the guise of criminal summoning. Why is he at the museum at 1:41? Oh, because they got a call. They're engaged in criminal surveillance, and the Ontario Police relies on criminal summoning in order to use the representation that they're a legitimate law enforcement, and that's why they're there. That's why they're exercising authority under the law. They're gang stalking with the people of the state, and they are in reliance on criminal summoning. That's why they're given the explanation as to why the Ontario Police Department is there. Number one, it's in the engineer light. They're stalking. My documentation precedes that encounter. They've been stalking, and they're stalking while they're in my presence, referring to the municipal code that they don't have any authority under, and you certainly don't when you're stalking me and you know exactly where I'm sleeping, and you engaged in kidnapping to commit an unlawful eviction. I went through this legal analysis. This is what the entity is embarrassed by, and they're also prosecuted by it. So this podcast, which was published on June 11th, is also made private, and they're making things private while they're engaged in federal stalking. It's an admission to the very criminal surveillance that they're going to be prosecuted for. I'm not going behind and making my podcasts that are published, and that's contradictory to my own interests. I'm not doing that, and that's obvious. The demons that are still stalking are the ones that are engaged in criminal surveillance, aware of everything that's being documented and published, while they are anticipating their own publicly exposed demise, going behind and making private that which they're embarrassed about, and that which is also incriminating them, including while they go behind and make it private because it's obstruction of justice and it's a threat to my life. The entity is engaging in what is making that published podcast on YouTube private so that you don't see it. It's so that you can't listen to it, but it's available on the podcast. Like I said, I do not recommend YouTube being the sole platform that you rely on, because the entity is very much embarrassed about what's published specifically on YouTube. Okay, so the entity is making the June 11th, 2025 podcast private. As of 9:59 a.m., I'm making that public. And that's the documentation that they're concerned about. My inquiry about this demon-possessed gang stalking, that's an oxymoron. The fact that a police officer in a police department is engaged in gang stalking, that's an oxymoron that's going to be not tolerated. A gang stalking mayor, an oxymoron. Okay, the entity that's engaged in gang stalking as the government, that is literally an oxymoron. That is to be addressed, that I'm exposing, that's serving for prosecution. But nonetheless, the entity is engaged in public corruption, and this gang stalking Ontario Police Department officer that doesn't want to give his public information, which is inappropriate upon request. It's bearing, the reason why he's wearing a badge with a number on it is because at request, you can just observe it. He's covering it up, and he's ashamed, doesn't want to share it while he's engaged in criminal monitoring and while he's in the specific environment, and while I'm merely asking him that which I know the answer to, but I'm showing you the entity that's stalking me day and night in helicopter, stalking me day and night in dark parking lots, following me around everywhere that I'm going, and then citing what is law that they don't have authority under. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is stalking, and you are not engaged in the exercising authority under the law. You're not enforcing the law. You're not an arbiter of the law when you're violating the law in order to gain the information about purported violation of under any area of law. Okay, and by the way, that's existing law. It's called poisonous fruit of the tree. If you're familiar with any aspect of criminal law, this is that idea, this is that issue, but it's greater because it's domestic terrorism. It's pursuant to criminal summoning. It's pursuant to what is criminal surveillance. And the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they're stalking an American citizen as a police department. The whole department is engaged in criminal surveillance, and then they're engaging in what is calling themselves a law enforcement agency in doing so, okay? And they are in real time gang stalking with the people of the state while they're engaging in this highly unpersuasive and ridiculous act of using the phrase law enforcement associated with criminal activity of the Ontario Police Department. So that's what the entity is both embarrassed and convicted by, meaning I'm going to use that to prosecute and the demons of the Ontario police that engage in kidnapping pursuant to criminal summoning, that they're going to federal prison. All right, so I just want to document that the entity rendering my podcast that is published, going behind, touching evidence that doesn't belong to them with regard to the ongoing surveillance that they're aware of. That means the Ontario Police Department are not only stalkers, they're stalkers that are keeping the evidence of their stalking me under surveillance, and they're also trying to hide it from you while you witness their exposure. And they're very scared of me while they do that. That's why they're doing that, because they are scared. They're petrified. They're paranoid. They're very fearful. And they're embarrassed. That's why they're doing that, okay? It is currently 10:02 a.m. where the entity is keeping the fake sun today, and what I want to bring to your attention is that on June 14th, 2024, which is the same specific environment that is prosecuting the Ontario Police Department for being a league of demon-possessed psychopaths, unhinged and stalking me and monitoring me and also my genitalia in concert with a demon-possessed population that is a corrupt population engaging in criminal surveillance with them, while the fake sun is remaining over me at Starbucks as of 10:02 a.m. outside of the same window that I captured it this morning at 8. The entity is at the same time keeping a fake sun over me on the same day while I'm in my apartment in Los Angeles, which is not sharing any sky space off of Euclid Avenue, where these demons on Euclid Avenue are stalking in the path in the specific environment where an entire manufactured environment is remaining replete with what is a fake sun necessarily, because there is necessarily more than one sun for it to be outside of my bedroom window on the same day at the same time, where I'm capturing this screen recording on June 14, 2024, and it starts at 8:56 a.m. and the video ends at 10:43 a.m., where I'm maintaining ongoing documentation, juxtaposing crime scenes, showing you the significance of the environment that is in defiance of nature and science, logic, common sense, etc. And the entity is maintaining this fake sun over me in Los Angeles, showing you that the state is targeting me, and that targeting is identified through the supernatural environment where the demon-possessed are engaged in gang stalking, and their behavior is also supernatural. They're supernatural with regard to malicious. That's how that's prosecuted. It's malice. You're stalking me with amplified audible activity and sensational activity. That's how the Starbucks couch inside of the cafe is vibrating and shaking while you're harassing me and being a demon and doing so. And it's criminal activity while the fake sun is remaining over your establishment as well. That's what's shared with what is the fake sun necessarily, speaking to what is an environment, the unnatural environment where you're identifying targeting by the government in concert with the people of the state who are the government as well, vicariously acting in a criminal manner pursuant to criminal surveillance. And the fake sun is remaining outside of my living room window at 1806 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor, facing the hillside, where I would document routinely a sunrise. And then in that same apartment, 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor, facing Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, 90026, which is not sharing any sky space with Starbucks, where I'm capturing the fake sun at 7:26 p.m. through the drive-through window and 7:25 a.m. on the same sidewalk where this fake sun is still present at 10:05 a.m., where the entity is maintaining a light source, in other words, in conformity to the pattern of conduct and out of conformity, out of alignment with nature under any circumstances. And it is also seen very clearly and vividly when I'm comparing what the crime scene is in Los Angeles, where LAPD is gang stalking, like the Ontario PD is gang stalking. And the entity is doing so under a fake sun. On this day in 2024, at 8:56 a.m. and the video ends at 10:43 a.m. I am showing what is the fake sun outside of my living room window, which is impossible to be the natural environment, while Starbucks is keeping a fake sun over me, while the employees and the demon-possessed patrons are pacing in and out of a bathroom, very pathetic, while they're stalking, very pathetic, and also perverted, because this is where they're monitoring my vagina as well. They're engaging in something as pathetic as going into a bathroom to stalk someone else, while they're engaging in monitoring via communication devices, while they're engaging in what is maintaining surveillance with the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, the State of California, while light is flying inside of the air, like I've already documented, doing so pursuant to targeting me. And they're doing it on behalf of a corrupt police department that's not engaged in law enforcement whatsoever, and they're incapable of actually engaging in law enforcement and the responsibilities associated with law enforcement, where you have to be competent at a basic level in order to gather facts that doesn't require you're violating the constitutional rights of another, where you're competent in order to do so and do your job and achieve justice in one way or another. And you don't have to stalk somebody day and night in order to do so, in order to do that. But you understand that they're not interested in justice. They're interested in surveillance, and they're demons engaging in surveillance, and that's what's relevant about the criminal surveillance underway by the Ontario Police Department. So I just want to be clear, the demon-possessed are feigning interest in a constitutionally governed police department. They're engaged in criminal surveillance, and I'm exposing that. And that's the whole purpose of a gang stalking police department in the first place. It's not to provide justice, it's not to maintain law and order, it's to engage in surveillance in concert with that demon-possessed population that you were never supposed to hear about, okay? It's 10:07 a.m. That's relevant to what's also documented on this day in 2024. The entity is maintaining the specific environment for the duration of the day in Los Angeles in 2024, where I'm at my apartment and I'm documenting that pattern of conduct that I remain subject to. And the LAPD is on video gang stalking me, like I've been documenting the entire year in 2024 in that specific environment. And that is again, the recognition of that specific environment, the ability to specifically identify who is being targeted. In addition to that targeted individual making that allegations, I'm being targeted. You're able to know that beyond a reasonable doubt in the specific environment and the amongst the pattern of conduct by that entity. Stalking with light, stalking with amplified audible activity, the hallmark of stalking with helicopter, stalking under that fake sun, and engineered light that's present day and night, as I've shown you the pattern of conduct, and that pattern of conduct is identified and existing within a specific environment. That specific environment is a reference to the supernatural nature of it. Light fixtures, light outside, artificial light doesn't create multiple shadows. It doesn't create perpendicular shadows. It doesn't cause your shadow to vacillate from 2 to 3. It doesn't cause your multiple shadows that are varying in levels of concentration of light. That's the environment, and it is occurring right in front of your face, and it's supernatural, i.e. demonic, where surveillance is underway via communication devices, also on the internet. All right, and it's unconstitutional, and it's what gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison for, especially when they engage in kidnapping. And that's what the Ontario Police Department has committed several times. And it's currently June 14, 2024, and so the playlist will be attached to the podcast. This is the podcast, this is the documentation. The entity is merely concerned about social media. It's going to be in court, including the fact that they, on social media, pursuant to criminal surveillance, sought to suppress my evidence, which is a threat to my life and liberty in real time as well. And they're concerned about you seeing it on social media, okay? Those are the demons that engage in with providing me evidence, putting them in prison and disbanding them, and having them set with a criminal record for terrorism and psychological torture in America, in the United States of America, when they're concerned about looking a certain way. So you're giving me that evidence while everybody's looking at you. And they also need to know that you're also scared to death that I then put that documentation on the internet that you're also trying to suppress on the internet. The entity is concerned with, and that's again the demon-possessed, that narcissistic mindset, that short-sighted, forgetful demon that's obsessed with me, obsessed with the way that things appear. And the way that things actually appear aren't even what these demons are telling themselves. They appear to be demons. They appear to be stalking. They appear to be caught red-handed. They appear to be openly engaging in what they never thought that would be capable of being proven. That's what they literally appear as. They appear as demons who are lurking in the dark, following me day and night, as I've proven it by documentation. One person and a whole city, that is a state rather actually, engaged in what is targeting me, and I single-handedly proved that. And conducted my own investigation about corruption in the state of California, where the U.S. government is monitoring American citizens. That's what it appears as. They don't appear to be doing anything strong or making any sort of statement in rebuttal when you're stalking a woman. That's not a response. And by the way, they're very obsessively concerned with it being published online. So like I said, the entity does not even have a proper context about what's happening and what's going to happen to them when they're concerned about making sure that it's not seen on the internet after they commit it and I document it. It's going to be in court. And it's also going to be in court that they're monitoring online, meaning you're aware that you're being documented for stalking, meaning you're not stalking me and you don't know that I'm documenting you stalking me. You're stalking me and you know that I'm documenting you stalking me, and you stalk me even more and in more threatening manners, and then you go behind and try to suppress the evidence where the public is witnessing you stalking me and witnessing me document you stalking me. Okay, that's multiple levels of mental illness by the entity that's engaged in gang stalking. Psychopaths, unhinged, sexually perverted and obsessed with me, and engaging in what is a level of delusion while they are continuously engaging in that pattern of conduct. Okay, so Ontario Fire Department, gang stalking, pacing with the demons on Euclid Avenue. Ontario Police Department, everything that I'm publishing when I make it from private to public, the demons of the Ontario Police simultaneously crossing path. That's that demon possession in operation. That demonic synchronicity is because they're demon possessed. And they're gang stalking with a simultaneity to what I'm doing on the venue of the internet, which is monitoring, but it's also them demonstrating their demon possession, and I'm making sure that all of their mental illness, all of their mentally ill behavior, their behavioral health is put at the forefront of their prosecution. It's 10:11 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is 10:11 a.m. This is all relevant to the people of the state, such as Tracy Banks, engaged in what is targeting me with the government, conspiring my murder, conspiring to steal from me. It's relevant to demons domestic terrorist sex offenders like Jason Isaac Fields, who have manufactured fraudulent relationship with me, such as a marriage, which never happened. I've never been, not even in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with this person. He's been engaged in a sexual relationship, perverted and demented in nature, with this mother figure, Tracy Banks, my mother. He's been having sex with her while engaging in what is a fraudulent marriage, which is a criminal act pursuant to gang stalking me. And doing so with the intent to murder, with the intent to profit from my demise. This is what Jason Isaac Fields is engaged in, and you're mindful of that when I'm prosecuting the state of California, which he is a part of, while the police are targeting me in furtherance of demons like Jason Isaac Fields who are interested in my demise, interested in my being kidnapped, while the entity is targeting in real time, suppressing the evidence of it in real time. And demons like Jason Isaac Fields who have committed fraud by alleging on paper without my knowledge, while I'm subject to repeated kidnappings, while I've been documenting the pattern of conduct for years, people like Jason Isaac Fields engaging in what is procuring fraudulent marriages with me while having sex with my mother, who's also gang stalking me, engaging in criminal summoning with her sex partner, Jason Isaac Fields. Understand, he is a part of that pattern of conduct. He has committed a criminal act against me with the intent to profit. This is somebody that's conspiring by virtue of a fraudulent marriage. This is somebody that's conspiring toward my being murdered, conspiring toward my being kidnapped via criminal defamation. That's how his sex partner is acting in conformity to that. Tracy Banks summoning the gang stalkers while they're trying to engage in what is criminal defamation in order to accomplish a kidnapping. I'm prosecuting every angle of that case. And you're looking at, when you engage in things such as a fraudulent marriage to me, when you're having sex with my mother and I don't even talk to you, and I'm not interested in you, I wouldn't even date you. He doesn't even like girls. He's homosexual. This demon that's having sex with a mother figure who's obsessed with me, both of them are, and they're gang stalking me together. This is directly relevant to the gang stalking by the state that's acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping me. And fraudulent marriages with me, with the targeted individual, is an admission to being a domestic terrorist and interested in benefiting from the demise of that targeted individual. You go to federal prison for that. In addition to any and everything that Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, and anybody else that has stolen from me while engaging, understand there's a reason why you're engaging in what is a fraudulent marriage with me while I am simultaneously being targeted by the state. You're going to federal prison for that, and you're going to fork over everything that you sought to benefit from, that you've already benefited from. The entity is going to do that, and they seek to benefit as an entity. So the Ontario Police Department gaining any compensation for targeting me as a department, thinking that they're going to get away with me and do away with me and get away with it as a police department, controlling the narrative, controlling what is the circumstances regarding my demise, kidnapping me, and then doing away with me, erasing me off the record. However, the entity is incentivized to gang stalk as a police department, as a statewide effort, essentially putting like a lottery on my life. People like Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, that are a part of the people of the state whose name I know, it's directly incriminating them, and they are engaged in what is theft of my intellectual property, theft of property that belongs to me, theft of property that has not been given over to me while they've been targeting the entire time. It's directly relevant to the unlawful threat posed by the government that is targeting me. And then you have demons, terrorists, psychopaths like Jason Isaac Fields, who have tried to put themselves in a position to attach themselves to me fraudulently, such as through a fake marriage that never occurred, that I was never aware of, and that is happening while I'm necessarily being targeted by the state. And the entity is simultaneously seeking to try to falsely depict my character in doing so. And you can you're witnessing how they're very highly unintelligent in even trying to do that. But nonetheless, it's criminal conduct, and it's relevant to demons like Jason Isaac Fields, who are engaging in things such as fraudulent marriages. The entity engaging in things such as fake death certificates. I never died, and I've never married anybody, and I certainly would never marry. I wouldn't even date or associate with this homosexual, this raging psychopath, this sex offender, this demon-possessed gang stalker that's engaged in the use of witchcraft, spiritually attacking me, and it's a whole psychopath acting like he's oblivious to what's going on. He's going to find himself in a mental asylum, but I'm going to prosecute him for engaging in this criminal conduct with the state. His name is Jason Isaac Fields. If you're aware of my documentation, I've already shown you this. He looks dead in the face. He's spiritually dead, and he's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring with the state, and that is literally through the proof of what is a fake marriage with me. It is an admission to gang stalking me. Because it never happened, and it never would have happened. I would never associate with a gang stalker, somebody that was targeting me, and there will not be any future endeavors. And you certainly are not going to get in my good graces by targeting me with the police. This is a psychopath. This is, again, the work of Satan, and I'm merely identifying those by name. This is what's relevant to the demon-possessed who are targeting me and harassing me in my presence. They're doing so on behalf of hostile demons like Jason Isaac Fields, who can't seem to get a date, get attention, but for gang stalking a woman and having sex with her mother and procuring a fraudulent marriage on paper. This is somebody that needs mental assistance, mental examinations, and he's going to be prosecuted for this. It is relevant to the domestic terrorism and psychological torture that I remain subject to date. Okay, it is currently 10:17 a.m. and I also want you to be mindful of that. This is P.O.C.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. American Medical Response enters into Starbucks. That's audible activity that the demons that work at Starbucks engage in while they're monitoring with simultaneity, which is demonic, under the fake sun that's over this same Starbucks that it was at 8 o'clock this morning. This is the supernatural venue, meaning the pattern of conduct where the demon-possessed American Medical Response ambulance operators who pace around under a fake sun, stalking in ambulances, engaging in what is domestic terrorism with the people of the state that pace in and out of the bathrooms. This is a gang stalker monitoring with them. All of those tattoos are just a means of identifying an obvious demon. He's engaged in what is gang stalking with AMR that's using an air dryer. She's focused on me. She's actually monitoring and she knows I'm standing here. And that knowledge is based on the pacing and engineer light where it's fluctuating light activity all over here. You already saw the mirror of light. This is AMR. Coming in and taking their turn, the loud laughter is simultaneity of crossing path. She's gang stalking. And she's doing so under the fake sun. AMR enters in to engage in monitoring. That demon already knew that there was somebody. They pace in and out monitoring. They're doing this while you already know the engineer light that dances on the walls inside of here. American Medical Response represents the City of Ontario, contracted with the City of Ontario that's engaged in state surveillance. This is supernatural. The fake sun is over me while I'm documenting at this venue, and it stays at this same position that I documented at 6:18 p.m. Don't forget what the Ontario police are doing. That's American Medical Response. Those are the demons stalking in the middle of the night, sounding sirens, and these demons are monitoring with the city, with the state, in other words. And LAPD is gang stalking me on this same day in 2024, where there's no sun that would be over this Starbucks at all whatsoever if they were even remotely close to being in an environment where you could not suspect them on its face with regard to gang stalking, which is demonic. They're monitoring pursuant to what are acts of kidnapping that the entity has committed, including AMR. And they're monitoring with communication devices altogether. The police coming into the venue, taking their turns, acting out their obsession with me, gang stalking. The fire department taking their turn, acting out their obsession, coming in here, gang stalking. And so is American Medical Response acting out their obsession with me, coming in here, gang stalking. And their focus on me is proven through the maintenance of a supernatural environment. Don't forget about what happened yesterday at this time, where the demons are inside of the venue, where a fake sun's remaining over, showing you how they're stalking inside of a building, pursuant to joint knowledge of everything that I'm doing, including on my devices. The entity is engaged in what is keeping the fake sun over me. Remember yesterday I left here and I documented how the fake sun left from being here as well. And while I am documenting UPS and I'm documenting Ontario Police at what is the U.S. Bank, which is at a location north from this Starbucks. The entity is that's west from where I'm located, 507 North Euclid Avenue.
and the U.S. Bank, which is at the intersection of, this is E Street, the intersection of what would be B Street and Euclid, and that's where UPS is flashing light, and that's where AMR is not under the natural environment. They're coming and they're stalking, and their focal point is not the coffee, it's to come and engage in the elements of monitoring surrounding in the venue. When they know I went to the parking lot to get pictures of the AMR vehicle, that demon goes into the bathroom monitoring. The other demon, the African American with the bad nappy weave, she's gang stalking by maintaining on this side of my person, while the fake son is present, and that's speaking to what the Ontario Police Department are doing under the 12:51 p.m. fake sun, where I am at the U.S. Bank and the Glorias Cochinas, where the fake sun remains over me at the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, while I remained here and then left to go to that library. But when I don't leave, like you're seeing, neither does the fake sun. And even if I did not leave, that's speaking to the prosecution of the demons that are openly engaged in surveillance, and their criminal system, their demonic means, is fully exposed. In addition to that, the natural environment will never include the sun remaining outside of this window, like I documented as of 8 this morning, and it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the fake sun. As you can see, it's over the same building. Then you're looking at psychopaths who are coming and engaging in surveillance. This is how the people of the state engage in what are stalking you, babysitting you, stalking in your path amongst impossible light activity. And they openly demonstrate their demon possession in that engineer light. And then they walk into the bathroom like you forgot about that documentation. You didn't forget about the engineer light, the wall of light that I documented. This is engineer light that's present. While AMR comes in to engage in the gang stalking conduct, participating in it, demonstrating their mental illness and how they are, as the demon-possessed population, to be in operation of ambulances, be in those positions in the medical field where they commit kidnapping, they commit criminal defamation, and then they engage in what is kidnapping by taking you to medical facilities like Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, who are gang stalking as well in the same exact manner, maintaining the impossible light activity, maintaining the fake sun, and engaging in what is criminal surveillance, where that targeting entity is engaged in what is kidnapping by defaming your character, which is what Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the city of Ontario, the people of the state have committed multiple times while I've been documenting, exposing this. The sun is not going to be over the Ontario Police Department, well, yes, the Ontario Police Department, but the sun is not going to be over the Ontario Police, that demon that was gang stalking with UPS yesterday at 12:51 p.m. when I'm en route walking to the Ovid Family Community Library, and I'm showing you it didn't move anywhere. It's right here. And in addition to that, that's not sunlight. This is, again, the subtle evidence of what is stalking. In addition, their admission, while they are driving by engineer light, it's driving on the inside. They're all stalking, and so is American Medical Response. But you know that those demons are stalking with light in the path while they're driving ambulances. The demon possessed are going to be removed from the positions that they're in. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:04 p.m. and you know that the fake sun is still here after 6 p.m. where the Ontario Police are gang stalking. You know the fake sun is here while the Ontario Police were documented gang stalking on June 4, 2025 by keeping their back to me like the passive-aggressive psychopaths monitoring my vagina that they are. And at the 11:54 a.m. fake sun, as it remains over here, that's a duration of time that is shared with what is the LAPD, but it's just not shared in the environment where that can naturally occur. LAPD is gang stalking like the city of Ontario is gang stalking in concert with the demon-possessed ambulance operators who come into the venue to engage in Starbucks' iteration of the state's pattern of conduct and purchasing a drink in order to engage in domestic terrorism and psychological torture. P.O.C. Okay, it is 1:13 p.m. and the video you just listened to is documenting both the evidence of bathroom monitoring and the city's engagement of what is gang stalking, monitoring together as a statewide effort while I'm remaining inside of the Starbucks where the fake sun is there over the Starbucks, and we're at what is hour 9, 10, 11, 12, hour number 5, and AMR enters in that specific environment. And what you see in the video is also the impossible light that's on the wall. This is where dudes and females are monitoring my vagina together in the bathroom while amplified audible activity sounds through the wall. That's demonic, and that's going outside, going above and beyond with regard to wanting to monitor, stalk somebody, observe someone, engage in voyeurism in a bathroom when they're engaging in what is private activity. Why are you interested in that? Same thing. Why are you stalking? Because you're obsessed, because you're sex offenders. And this is sexual violence at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue under the fake sun is engaging in with all of the city, including those that are in positions such as the city ambulances, the city fire department, the city police department. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking me as I'm documenting them remaining inside of the neighborhood cafe. The neighborhood's full of demons that are gang stalking, and they're doing so at this cafe where they're entering into the specific environment, the crime scene, and I'm documenting and I'm showing you a consistent body of evidence. And all of that is used to prosecute the state. LAPD is doing the exact same thing in an entirely different region where I'm documenting that specific environment, which is what happened on June 14, 2024. I want to document right now bathroom monitoring. So the entity is maintaining light activity. The light inside of the bathroom continuously goes on and off. And the entity is amplifying audible activity inside of the bathroom. And you see what I'm taking pictures of. All they are doing is stalking. And that's what, so when you understand what they're doing, then you take a step back and you see all that these demons are doing are stalking. When I get up and go to the bathroom, they're engaged in pacing at the Chevron, at the Arco, the traffic lights, in and out of all the buildings, via aircraft, and inside of the Starbucks itself, in and out of the bathroom while they're stalking me. And they're doing that when they get in a frenzy and my panties come down in the bathroom, which they all together know about. It's an unprecedented sex offense. All right, it's currently 1:15 p.m. Want to document that. This is P.O.C. while the entity is engaging in what is stalking me in dark parking lots and monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. It's 1:15 at Starbucks. This is P.O.C. Okay, what you're looking at is crossing a path and engineered light while you see the back of a male exiting. The hand dryer amplified through the walls if with regard to the everything that third party is doing, and it's audible activity creation, and it's intentional, and it is amplification. That's why you also have inexplicable light on the outside of the bathroom wall. It has nothing to do with the fake sun that's above the building, outside of the building. It's not coming from some laser on a car. The entity has placed light, which is impossible to naturally occur, and the entity has what is placed sound, audible activity, amplified in volume with regard to knowledge in order to monitor. Remember, everything that's happening in the engineer light is designed to monitor with regard to stalking and ongoing surveillance. They're surveilling my vagina, all right? And this third party exits the bathroom, and the reason why I know that someone is because they're amplifying the sound of the hand dryer from a third party that's monitoring me. That's a sex offender, and it's on Starbucks' watch. They're going to be prosecuted. They're making money while they're monitoring with the city, etc. I've gone through that legal analysis, but the entity is doing so while engineer light, like I captured on video, where AMR is gang stalking. AMR is engaging in that P.O.C. where that engineer light, where that fake sun is, where that amplified audible activity is underway. Just so that you know, and AMR represents the state. This is what Vince, that's working right now at Starbucks, is engaging in. This is what Raquel is engaging in when I'm talking to her, and this psychopath is feigning ignorance about her satanic methods of targeting and all the environment and the evidence. It's not a question or a controversy what's happening, and you can't believe, you already know what's happening, you already know the P.O.C. So I let you hear the psychopaths when they're documenting themselves, and let you hear the maniacal psychopaths that are engaging in gang stalking, and they don't have any way to give any explanation about what's going on, and you already know also, and nobody's making up anything when I'm talking about them gang stalking me, and they sound idiotic, and they look as crazy as they actually are. The entity is engaging in what is, you have Saul that's back there gang stalking. You have, like I said, Vince. You have the team of demons that are pacing. All they're doing is coming from the back into the bathroom, pacing in and out with the customers, and those that are not even customers. They're running in, maintaining obsessive presence around me. They're all stalking. So I just want to document that, and that's what the entire Starbucks team is engaging in. And they're all focused on while they're on the exterior making drinks, the drink preparation is based on what's going on with my vagina in the bathroom right now while they're bathroom monitoring at 1:20 p.m. P.O.C. All right, the sex offenders that are maintaining relevant positioning and activity creation via the traffic on Euclid, they're molesting with impossible light while I'm sitting in the cafe, like you've already seen on video, and that's the same population that just committed the perpetual sex offense, monitoring my vagina. And they're doing that in concert with Vince and Saul and all the demons that you'll see in the images at approximately 1:34 to 1:36 p.m. Stalking in the path and creating activity while they're gang stalking on the job at Starbucks, a facilitating venue, and in concert with the demons that are sitting in alignment, dragging the chairs on the floor while they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, in concert with the demons on Euclid Avenue and at these surrounding venues where they all commit a sex offense together. And that is giving context. They were monitoring my vagina in the same way that you see the impossible light activity, and this is how the entity's own pattern of conduct is going to get them prosecuted in every way in which I have already foretold. This sex offender is engaged in stalking with light. The sex offender is engaged in what is monitoring in a private space. The sex offender is engaged in keeping the surveillance of their sexual violence under surveillance and trying to suppress that evidence as well, while they're still obsessively stalking and engaging in that sexual violence. And they're engaging in that while I'm seated in the cafe, and that has nothing to do with any sort of, that's a distinct and ongoing additional method of and proof and admission regarding being a gang stalker and being a demon. And the demons who are the gang stalkers are violent sex offenders who are obsessed with my vagina and everything concerning her in the bathroom, okay? These three Caucasian women sitting at this table are sex offenders, and they are maliciously engaged in the pattern of conduct. And as you're looking at that psychopathic and passive-aggressive engagement in the elements of monitoring, which are always present, regardless of the race of the sex offender that's sitting there, or how old or how serious they maintain their demeanor while they're gang stalking and committing egregious sexual violence, they will be prosecuted the same. The entity is exhibiting mental illness when they engage in that. That's what you're looking at. The entity is doing so on behalf of the government. It's the Ontario Police Department vicariously gang stalking through these three white biddies sitting at this table in engineered light under the fake sun, which is never superseded by the race, the appearance, the activity, method, or in other words, the specific third party or state actor, ever. It's never changing. This is the significance of it. The demon possessed are relying on you to give them some sort of special identification. Oh, I wear this badge. Or, oh, I'm a part of that department. Oh, I go to this church. Oh, I lead that study. And they're all in the engineer light, and so you're seeing Satan for who Satan is, and Satan's going to be prosecuted. Satan is a violent sex offender, Satan derives pleasure from sexual violence. Satan is the one that created sexual violence, and they're engaging in it. And the federal group stalking monitoring system is underway at Starbucks, which is engaged in sexual violence, facilitates it, continuously engages in it, and encourages the government and encourages the public to engage in it as well. It's 1:40 p.m. This is documentation of the specific environment, and you will see the fake sun over the same entry of the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue that it was this morning, and where it remains, as I documented on video, at 6:18 p.m. where the Ontario Police Department, who are gang stalking through three white women sitting inside of this venue, buying a drink at the venue to engage in criminal surveillance. They're doing so while that fake sun is documented remaining at this same venue over that same entryway at 6:18 p.m. And that's why, what race you are or whoever you think you are, because I'll tell you who they are, they're demons. And they don't deserve any respect at all. They're despicable, disgusting degenerates. And everything that they're engaging in, they're embarrassed about while they do it, and they don't want you to hear about it, and they're embarrassed about it while it's published on the venue of the internet. It is currently 1:40 p.m. The demon that you see walking out of the bathroom, he was engaged in surveillance, stalking in relevant position, knowing when I'm taking my leg out of my pants, when I'm pulling my panties down and pulling my panties up, when I'm putting on a tampon, when I'm wiping my bottom, when I'm touching my genitalia, when I go to wash my hands and pump the thing for soap, every time that I'm rubbing my hand, every single detail, that sex offender was engaged. This is a demon. Okay, so demons know when you're blinking your eyes. That's the level of detail that sex offender, while he's engaged in surveillance, stalking in the path in the men's restroom, with regard to the state's engagement and what is physically surrounding me by the gang stalkers who come into the cafe. And that includes American Medical Response. And you're not forgetting about that wall of light that's on the outside of the bathroom wall when you're looking at them pacing in and out of the bathroom all day long while I'm taking pictures of them. They're openly gang stalking. And I want to let you know about what they're interested in and what they're monitoring, and it's about my vagina. All right, it's about what's going on with my vagina in the bathroom, and this is speaking to the obsession of the entity that is gang stalking me. All right, it is currently 1:41 p.m. This sexual violence is underway, and the entity is making money profiting from sexual violence. That's what Starbucks is engaging in, and that's why they're not holding on to that profit. You're going to fork that over. You're going to drain the pockets. You're not going to hold on to funds and profits while you're engaged in domestic terrorism and psychological torture. And that gang stalking that's underway by your business, through your business, you don't have any sort of entitlement to those profits, and that's a part of the criminal prosecution in civil court regarding federal group stalking and monitoring that's facilitated by corrupt businesses like Starbucks, corrupt corporations like Starbucks, and that's why the pattern of conduct, the exact same pattern of conduct, is underway at every single Starbucks that I have ever documented. In other words, everyone that I've been to. All right, it is currently 1:42 p.m. This is the perpetual sex offense while the entity exposes itself and prosecutes itself. All right, this is P.O.C. Okay, the entity that is monitoring all the evidence against itself, very much interested in people that they've likely not met. They've not met each other, but they're the same demon-possessed entity. They're the same corrupt entity. And it includes the people of the state, the entity identified by the supernatural conduct of Engineer Light, touching me, moving all across the walls and the ceilings while the entity is gang stalking by crossing path perpetually via traffic. It's gang stalking on Euclid Avenue and also gang stalking inside of the Starbucks, where simultaneity of conduct, the demonic synchronicity, not only with the light activity and the demons on Euclid Avenue, monitoring what the demons that work at Starbucks, specifically Saul, in operation of his communication device while he walks toward the male restroom, which is crossing path with me, where I'm simultaneously being accosted, terrorized, and harassed with impossible light activity. And it happens to be at the same time that I'm pulling up state actor Brian Calvin Hartnell. This is somebody that is located in Redlands, California, a probate lawyer who was criminally engaged in the pattern of conduct in a corrupt court, which is the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, the LPS court, where they engage in what is exercising fictitious authority as a gang stalking venue, engaging in what is a kidnapping, in other words, and then engaging in what is the exercise of fictitious authority under the law, where they are engaged in what is adjudicating over the mental wellness of myself, which with regard to the abuse of the Welfare and Institutions Code. So while I'm pulling up Brian Calvin Hartnell, this is a state actor, not a third party, because he's using a California bar license while he is simultaneously gang stalking. The fake sun is over the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Engineer Light remains inside of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, just like you're seeing at Starbucks. Just like I'm showing you at the Ovid Family Community Library at nightfall when the fake sun is nowhere seen in sky space and the entity is engaging in the same P.O.C. This is the engineered environment at the court where the San Bernardino Superior Court in Colton, inside of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, a state facilitating venue, Brian Calvin is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring while in criminally misusing a California bar license for which you are permanently disbarred. You're not keeping that license, and it's also a basis of federal prison. He's engaging in it during an ongoing kidnapping, which is also an unlawful threat to my liberty, as though there is actual jurisdiction over that by that court over my person and over my property and whatnot. Brian Calvin Hartnell is a part of the Hartnell Law Group. He is sitting in that courtroom in relevant position. Everything that's being discussed is audible activity, and it also has substantive value while that court is engaging in what is exercising fictitious authority while I'm kidnapped. Remember, the entity that I'm documenting commits a kidnapping, and also Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is gang stalking as well, while they're feigning as though they're a legitimate hospital engaged in the provision of medical health care pursuant to behavioral health, and they're engaging in what is in plain defiance of what the Welfare and Institutions Code and what my conduct, my speech, what I'm representing, what I'm clearly speaking about. They disregard it in order to manufacture what is a mental health condition on paper. They submit it to a court, and the gang stalking court, which I've also shown, I've shown all facets of this pattern of conduct, and it's not a coincidence that the courts are facilitating venues. It's not a coincidence that the hospital is a facilitating venue. It's not a coincidence that the police department and the gang stalkers that are the police are engaged in the pattern of conduct. It's not a coincidence that where I'm being kidnapped, they are facilitating venues. It's not a coincidence that the entire city is engaged in that pattern of conduct, including the fire departments and the ambulances. Every aspect of the P.O.C. is established, and then you're taking all of that P.O.C. into a courtroom where they are masquerading as legitimate and they're not. You're going to prosecute for the exercise of fictitious authority, which is done pursuant to kidnapping by an entity that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Brian Calvin Hartnell is the inspiration behind Hall's crossing a path inside of the Starbucks under the fake sun as of 2:23 p.m. It remains over the same entryway, the same entrance of Starbucks in Ontario, California, 507 Euclid Avenue, where also that supernatural natural feature of the people of the state that are crossing paths repeatedly, as opposed to maintaining traffic, normal people minding their business, strangers, where lights not shooting into buildings and where a sun doesn't sit over a building for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours so far. In that natural environment, then you don't have any of these occurrences. You don't have kidnappings. You don't have harassment. You don't have the entity engaging in psychopathic behavior that you point out, and you point out the environment where they're engaging in it. But nonetheless, hence targeting. But Brian Calvin Hartnell is what I'm pulling up when Saul crosses path and I'm being molested with impossible light under the fake sun that's on the outside of this building, which is a supernatural occurrence. Also, while the LAPD is gang stalking me on this day in this specific environment in Los Angeles, which this Starbucks shares no natural environment with. In other words, it's impossible that the sun in a natural environment would even be over Starbucks. It could not be. It is speaking to the specific environment that is here based on who I am and the fact that I'm being targeted. And Brian Calvin Hartnell is engaged in targeting me and criminally misusing a California bar license in doing so on June 3rd, 2025, inside of the state facilitating venue that is the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that maintains a courtroom inside of that venue where they're gang stalking and engaging in what is practicing medicine to commit criminal defamation for purposes of kidnapping as the entity that is targeting and manufacturing mental illness and abusing the Welfare and Institutions Code in doing so. And he is also abusing the law, exercising authority that he doesn't have while he's simultaneously monitoring. You are outside of any authority with regard to the law and with regard to having authority under the law. The entity is abusing it. It's exposing what is public corruption, where the corrupt actors are using their positions to procure a criminal result, which is kidnapping under this circumstance. Brian Calvin Hartnell is engaging in this in the courtroom, and he's supposedly of Hartnell Law Group, where I submitted my writ request for the habeas corpus. And the entity is in the courtroom. I am thankfully speaking on my own behalf because Hartnell is not representing, and I want to be clear, the outcome of the case is not relieving criminal liability. The entity has no jurisdiction whatsoever, and it's an unlawful threat to your liberty while a kidnapping is underway. The point is that you will never be kept subject to kidnapping, period. And you're not entertaining what is a court hearing in order to decide whether you're releasing from a kidnapping. While they're in that courtroom, they're gang stalking. Everything that's being discussed with regard to the law is a violation of the law at the same time. It is preposterous while this corrupt entity engages in that. The judge that was sitting in that courtroom is gang stalking. Brian Calvin Hartnell is gang stalking. Opposing counsel, criminally misusing a California bar license, all of them while they're gang stalking, in addition to those including Datla, who is gang stalking while feigning to be a legitimate, law-abiding, law-respecting medical professional who's engaging in a kidnapping and knows exactly who I am. That's when you're getting to the malice of the thing, because it's not just that they're exercising fictitious authority. It's not just that they're feigning to be legitimately engaged in what is a court hearing. They're targeting me. The entity that has a fake sun over me in Starbucks knows who I am, knows all the details of my life, knows what's going on with regard to my menstrual cycle on a monthly basis. And also, that's shared knowledge with regard to all the demons in a courtroom under the fake sun and an engineered light where they're conducting a court hearing while a kidnapping is underway. You know very specifically well that there is no mental illness, and it's the ongoing conspiracy to kidnap via criminal defamation. That's where the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring makes it very, very specific with regard to the level of malice that is underway. It requires federal prison, including the criminal misuse of a California bar license by Brian Calvin Hartnell, who is a resident in the state of California. He's gang stalking, and he's gang stalking during the course of a court hearing, which is an act of terrorism pursuant to what is kidnapping, where the entity is acting pursuant to what is threatening my liberty, while I have to, even in the courtroom, I'm representing myself. He is not zealously advocating my interests whatsoever, nor can you when you're gang stalking. And it is not based on the fact that I was released, but it's no thanks to Hartnell. And I also want to be clear, it's an unlawful threat. No matter how zealously I advocate on my own behalf, which I know the law, and no matter how correct you are, in other words, the entity is still in a position based on its corrupt engagement in the P.O.C. and the intent to kidnap, no matter how correct you are under the law, still in a position to kidnap you and trap you. And who knows about it? Who are you reporting it to? When it's the court, when it's the officials, when it's the hospital, when it's the police, when it's the people of the state. All right, this is insulating itself from exposure. That's why it's not based on the outcome. I was released. I did represent myself. I was able to speak on my own behalf. There is absolutely no basis where that judge was able to justify any sort of mental illness and the ongoing detention. However, that's not the outcome for the ordinary target individual that cannot represent themselves, that is subject to the criminal engagement by state actors like Hartnell, who are not zealously representing their interests. It's not merely malpractice with regard to unprofessional conduct and just the lack of zeal for it's malicious engagement in a pattern of conduct such that a kidnapping can proceed. Okay, and the entity is engaging in what is a kidnapping through the criminal misuse of a California bar license. And as I pull up Brian Calvin Hartnell, this is when the entity is molesting me with impossible light while Saul crosses path. The demons are very hostile as I am documenting, as I accumulate evidence. And as I do so, again, Tracy Banks arriving today. Tracy Banks knows everything that's been documented on the podcast. She's a psychopath, just feigning to be just dropping in and seeing if I just happen to be at the Starbucks. The fake son is speaking to all of the entity, knows where I'm here, including her, when the entity was keeping the fake son over her apartment. This is a raging psychopath. She's engaged in sexual activity with Jason Isaac Fields, her sex partner, who is lying about being married to me. They know what it is that I published, that I reminded everyone about when I'm publishing it on the internet, on my podcast, about the interest in kidnapping, specifically through a hospital that's designed to engage in what is criminal defamation, while demons are feigning being married to me, while they are conspiring, gang stalking at the same time, conspiring murder and kidnapping, and doing so in furtherance of that very purpose. To steal property that belongs to me, and stealing it by gang stalking, which is to result in my demise, and also creating an attachment whereby you are not my husband, not my spouse whatsoever. I don't even know anything about it while you're having sex, secretly having sex with not only fake friends, but my mother, who's a demon as well, a psychopath plotting against my entire life, and then arranging fraudulent marriages so that you can have my name, so you can have my property. That's what Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks have conspired. That's what the state of California has conspired. And the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, that's the San Bernardino Superior Court, the LPS court, is engaged in the pattern of conduct. And I've already documented the fake son. It is indeed a corrupt venue where they're gang stalking. The specific environment is captured. And it is on my website. This is the P.O.C.wordpress.com. And it is exposing multiple courthouses where the specific environment that Starbucks is captured in. This is the identical P.O.C. And I've captured it at police departments. I've captured it at sheriff's departments. I've captured it at courthouses. I've captured it at the people of the state where they live. As I pass their house, the fake son that's rising and setting at one location is over your house. You're gang stalking, while the entity through the environment is proven to be stalking me in particular. That court does not have jurisdiction over me. That court engaged in what is a kidnapping and the exercise of fictitious authority, which is intolerable under federal law. And Brian Calvin Hartnell is engaged in that act of kidnapping and criminally misusing a California bar licensure regarding my liberty, and the entity has done the same thing regarding my personal property. All right, this is what the Danielle Coutura engages in with the with the San Bernardino Superior Court, where I documented the fake son over that court. Thomas Garza is a gang stalking demon sitting on a bench, engaging in what is facilitating kidnapping that I've been subject to since the state of California evaded service of process, since my date of initiating my suit against this entity, and this entity avoided, again, the cowards that they are, evading service of process. And this is in September of 2019, and the entity has been engaged in seeking to kidnap and conceal this pattern of conduct, while demons are feigning marriages to me. I've never been married. I never died. I've been engaged in documenting, and the entity's been engaged in trying to conceal that, obsessively engaging in what is seeking my ultimate demise. And it's, first of all, it's not going to happen, and second of all, it's not going to be a secret. And the entity is so deranged, it's still doing it, and the evidence of everything that they did and everything that they conspired to do and everything that they failed to do and yet continue to try to do it, that's all going to be part of the prosecution as well. It is currently 2:32 p.m. and where Starbucks is engaging what is harming me, psychologically torturing, harassing, and gang stalking, in other words, with the entity. They are the entity that is the state, they're doing it vicariously, and they're doing it with knowledge of everything that I'm documenting on the video of the internet, and doing so because I'm documenting state actor Brian Calvin Hartnell. His California bar license is, I will get that right now, his California bar license, it is 66138. He is a state actor. He is a part of the kidnapping that occurred from May 29, 2025 until June 3rd, 2025. This is P.O.C. The tragic scene that you're looking at 2:40 p.m.
is adults that are bringing in their middle school, high school age children that are dressed up to go to like a school dance, and they're bringing them in here to pace around and engineer light into the bathroom. There's only one bathroom stall in the girls, and it's the same size in the male restroom. They brought them, dressed them up. Okay, I've been to high school, so they dressed them up to bring them to go in and out of the bathroom at Starbucks. You're looking at demonic pacing, and you're looking at parents that are encouraging their children to engage in satanic behavior, which is criminal in nature with the government, and it is with, again, a corrupt business, Starbucks, that's engaging in it as well, is relying on it for them to come in and do that inside of the restaurant. It's federal stalking. It's Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, and it's entirely pathetic. It's very demonic, and it's straight out of hell. And this is the contributing to the delinquency of minors, or what the people of the state are engaging in. Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for contributing to the delinquency of minors. Every employee, including Vince, including what is Saul. Starbucks, the corporation itself, engaging in what is gang stalking and engaging in federal stalking with minor children, while the people of the state bring in their kids to engage in helping the three biddies sitting at the table who are monitoring the demons that are pacing on Euclid Avenue with the impossible light, and then having the underage demons pace in and out of the bathroom like the psychopaths are doing over the age of majority. And they're all engaged in an ongoing feckless campaign, because everything that I'm uploading is going to be uploaded onto the internet. This is about trying to stop the upload, which is all that they're doing all the time. This is what I was documenting at 11 o'clock last night after the Ontario police are stalking in a dark parking lot. They provide that evidence, and then I upload it, and they pace all around and engineer. They're psychopaths. All they're doing is stalking me. That's it. And they pace all around trying to slow down the internet. They brought their kids in here to pace around in the engineered light, which you've already seen, under the fake sun, which is present as of 2:42 p.m. We're at hour 7, and the entity is engaging in this. And it's more important than the school dance. They had to come in and gang stalk before they take their criminals, these jail prison bound adolescents to engage in what is pacing around, engaging in the P.O.C. with their parents that are gang stalking with Starbucks. Engineer light dancing on the walls. You'll see the demons that are completing the purchases, while the teenagers in their tuxedos and bows and dresses gang stalking with their parents. It's very sad. These are demons, though, and these are demons that are bringing in their children, and these underage little minions are engaging in criminal conduct that their parents are stamping approval on. They know that they're targeting. They know who they're targeting. They know what they're doing, and this is also relevant because the people of the state that I've documented under the age of majority, they're going to be prosecuted. They're not going to be aided. Oh, well, they're not majority. No, the demons know exactly what it is that they're doing with regard to knowledge and demonstrating knowledge, obsessively crossing paths, going in and out of the bathroom. They understand who it is that they're targeting. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it's demonstrating specific knowledge with regard to malice, also in engaging in psychological torture and gang stalking via minor children. So I want to make sure that that's clear. It's relevant to the entity that's gang stalking the video of AMR that's captured at 12:58 p.m. today. And it's also relevant to that video that's also uploaded. It's at 91% uploading onto YouTube. And this is what they bring their little demon-possessed bastard children in to pace around, and it's still going up on the internet. I want you to see the demon-possessed over and under the age of majority. I want you to see the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. This is why they're being disbanded. This is what they are encouraging and facilitating. This is what they are relying on, the criminal engagement in those under the age of majority, gang stalking with a corrupt police department. And they are engaging in this pattern of conduct with knowledge that it's being documented as well. That's how despicable, that's how dangerous the Ontario Police Department is. The entity is engaging in this as a statewide effort. So you're looking at this malice everywhere. The entity is relying on, but as you're seeing, there's nothing cute or oh my gosh, there's nothing adorable about gang stalkers under the age of majority. There's nothing adorable about monitoring the vagina of a woman in a bathroom via children, with children. There's nothing cute or innocent or compassionate or sympathetic in the appearance of gang stalking with minor children. It's something that is showing you the demon-possessed population, how much of a threat that they are to the public. All right. It's currently 2:45 p.m. The fake sun. This is the fake sun that the Ontario Police Department, C. Torres, was under when he enters into the Starbucks, communicating a threat in the same way that the people of the state do while they're being documented, and they engage in psychopathic pacing, and they are employing the minor children inside of the Starbucks to engage in that. They literally are visiting the Starbucks to engage in monitoring me. It's actually not even about Starbucks, and that's what you need to understand. That's why a fake sun is over it. That's why engineer light is flying in it.
It's not about Starbucks that you would like to think that it's so great and fantastic. It's not about that. It's about gang stalking. It's about the P.O.C. It's about what it is that I'm publishing about Starbucks. It's about what I'm publishing about the entity that is gang stalking, and Starbucks is engaging in that. It is 2:45 p.m. This is P.O.C. and those images will be uploaded to the Google Drive. Alrighty, this is the impossible light activity that the entity is aiming through the venue. This is demonic. This is an admission to gang stalking. It's supernatural. It's absolutely impossible to occur under any circumstances. And it is targeting with light. This engineered light is how you are understanding the existence, the ongoing occurrence of surveillance, and it is directly affecting communication devices, and it is pursuant to what is stalking activity. Where this light is present, the people of the state, the government is engaged in criminal stalking, and it's pursuant to what is monitoring and it's criminal surveillance. And I have a body of evidence showing what is engineered light. It is also happening with regard to what it is that I happen to be documenting on the video of the internet. So it is pursuant to Title 18 federal stalking. And this is what I am currently editing regarding the entity that committed kidnapping, the medical professionals criminally misusing medical license and California bar licensure. As I publish such evidence, I am being accosted. You can see it over here, but the reason why I'm aiming it over here is because that's where you see it. While Vince walks by, the people of the state are driving, and impossible light is flooding through here. It's muted right now, if you will, meaning they're doing a lot more when I'm not recording, but I've documented the entity showing the fact that they are admittedly gang stalking and targeting me. The fact of impossible light activity is the admission of the gang stalkers. It's the admission of the demon possessed as well. You're looking at what is, first of all, inside of the building and outside. They're in shade, where impossible light activity is necessarily the case. Impossible light activity is pursuant to targeting a specific person and knowing what that person is doing, especially when I happen to be documenting a kidnapping that this entity engaged in. So this is where the people of the state are entering in. Gang stalking, they enter into the restaurant, they walk crossing path into the bathroom while traffic is a means of crossing path, and they're doing so in a specific environment pursuant to monitoring. So I wanted to document this is the entity that's engaging in that light activity and is doing so pursuant to what is criminal monitoring what it is that I am doing online, which is the Ontario Police Department's engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring with the people of the state. This is demonic pacing. This is what they were doing with the minors, one after another, in the impossible light under the fake sun. And this is shade while that light activity is present. And they literally come in and show you gang stalking on video right now. That's the pattern of conduct. That's what they're doing. And the Starbucks personnel are doing the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and show you the fake sun. That's still over the same venue that it was this morning at 4 p.m. when I'm documenting American medical response under the 12:50 p.m. That's not the product of sunlight. That's stationary engineer light. Starbucks is admittedly gang stalking. This is shade. That's all shade. This is all covered structure shade. And this shade is an illusion. It's the presence of engineered light, meaning the shadow of the building is flat on the ground and it's extending farther and farther into the street. It's creating the illusion, and it's an unpersuasive and unintelligent one. The fake sun is over the same building. It's over the same sidewalk. So I just go out to where the shade stops, and then you'll see the fake sun over the same exact location. This is where demons are stalking, engaging in surveillance in bathrooms. It's pathetic. It's also perverted. It's psychopathic, and it's obsessive. This is what the entity is doing while they have impossible light on the drive-through window, and they are engaging in gang stalking with the people of the state that enter. There's no vantage point where sunlight is ever going to occur like you're seeing on the inside of the building. The entity is admittedly targeting with the Ontario Police that's stalking by helicopter, 8 RMN 905. That would be federal prison. And there's a fake sun over the same position. L. Martinez, B. Hook, and what is Nathan Morgan, and the entity gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department committing kidnapping on May 29, 2025 under the fake sign at Woodside Senior Apartments. Stalking by helicopter when I capture very damning evidence. The demons are in the bathroom, pacing all around me. The demons preparing the drinks are doing so, and engaging what is stalking with helicopter is an admission against 8 LYG 551, who's engaged in criminal surveillance with them. And furtherance of murder, kidnapping, and psychological torture, like you just witnessed. The Ontario Police Department engaging in demonic pacing, exhibiting severe mental instability. So does the impossible light activity. This is impossible that the sun would be over here, and it's at the same time over me in Los Angeles, where LAPD is gang stalking. Impossible light while 7YLE893 crosses path and moves across the curb. That's the supernatural means of identifying targeting, and this is the physical means of identifying targeting, stalking in helicopters day and night. The fake sun during the day, the fake moon at night. I just want to be clear again. Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state committing kidnapping as one. and they are demons targeting together. And the Ontario Police Department is flying higher than the fake sign is over the building. They enter into the cafe gang stalking with the Ontario Police. That's federal prison. 7 WWS 985. That's federal prison. They're engaged in federal stalking with the Ontario Police, who provides evidence against them. You have the P.O.C. Okay? This is the entity engaged in federal stalking, surveillance, and psychological torture together. Yeah, no problem, Omnitrans. That's crossing path. That's P.O.C. The entity engaging in what is pacing by helicopter, and it's evidence against Nathan Morgan, who's going to federal prison. It's evidence against B. Hook, who's going to federal prison. It's evidence against L. Martinez, who's going to federal prison. It's evidence against the entity that is gang stalking, including, let me show you this. This is impossible light activity while opening and closing the door. Okay, that's P.O.C. And the Ontario Police is gang stalking, flying over. Who's going to federal prison? Everybody that's inside of Starbucks right now is federal prison. That's Elena. That's Saul. Vince is here gang stalking with the Ontario Police. The entity, as you see in the images, gang stalking with those under the age of majority. And the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded, like I've been stating, like the evidence proves. And they're demonstrating mental illness while they're surrounded with the probative evidence. And they're engaging in gang stalking now when it's exposed, like it's still not happening. Those are the psychopathic and antisocial disorders that the people that state the demon possess are trying to conceal. Their mental illness is not closeted, and it's also demonstrated with the impossible light activity in the same way that the demons pacing in helicopter exhibit severe mental instability. This is psychopathic behavior. Like I said, the demons that are going to federal prison, it includes Brian Calvin Hartnell. He's committing kidnapping while he's using his California bar license. He's gang stalking in the court. He's committed kidnapping with the entity, the Ontario Police Department, that starts the kidnapping, where the people of the state make false allegations where they're targeting you. This is what Tracy Banks is doing at Woodside Senior Apartments, intentionally doing so with the Ontario Police, who are engaged in surveillance, just like they demonstrated and the people of the state demonstrated in the specific environment, committing a kidnapping and abusing the Welfare and Institutions Code to procure that unlawful arrest, where the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is engaged in gang stalking as well, replete with the fake sun over that venue, including over the San Bernardino Superior Court, where Brian Calvin Hartnell, California bar license 66138, is engaging in what is audible activity, relevant positioning, and activity creation, light activity, is ongoing in this courtroom where I'm being gang stalked, where I'm being monitored, and they're simultaneously maintaining a court hearing pursuant to what is a kidnapping and the non-existence of any mental illness. The entity is manufacturing it during the course of an ongoing kidnapping to engage in criminal defamation. And as I publish this information online, this is what the entity is, as the Ontario Police Department that committed that kidnapping on May 29th admits. This is what they're monitoring. This is what's inspiring my being accosted and terrorized and molested with impossible light, and then being terrorized and psychologically harmed and threatened by helicopter, which is the pattern of conduct by the people of the state, or the psychopaths are acting like nothing happened. That's federal prison for the employees, federal prison for the demons, the license plate, and it's federal prison for the demons that are gang stalking on May 29th, 2025. And it's Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez. Vehicle license 1697625. It was vehicle number 1118. While they're in the specific environment where the Ontario Police Department are regularly documented, as this evidence that I'm publishing on the internet shows, where every hour of the day the entity has the fake sun over Tracy Banks' apartment, over the top of my head at Woodside, where in all of these videos the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking me in helicopter, and then they arrive pursuant to criminal summoning by Tracy Banks, and they're inside of her apartment engaging in what is waging false allegations that they know are not false, they know are not true. So meaning it's not just Tracy making allegations that the police don't know is false. The police are gang stalking, and so is Tracy Banks. It's a malicious assertion of false allegations in order to engage in what is and abuse under the Welfare and Institutions Code by the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that maintains this same environment. Impossible light under the fake sign and gang stalking with the Colton Police Department that sounded helicopter activity inside of that facility, where they were engaging in the P.O.C. and coexisting with what is the criminal misuse of the medical profession, where they're not practicing practicing medicine. They're engaging in what psychological torture in a facility, and then using harassment as a means to try to trigger, and that's not the practice of medicine, and that's also not how you diagnose mental illness. But I documented all of it because they're going to federal prison. And I documented what is Brian Calvin Hartnell, who's going to federal prison for gang stalking me and criminally misusing a law license, and doing so with the Ontario Police Department, which is all state action that he is intentionally and maliciously engaging in. You're not ignorantly in that specific environment at that venue, engaging in what is the use of a license where the entity is corrupt and engaging in kidnapping in the ways in which I've documented. This is P.O.C. It's currently 4:08 p.m. This is going toward what is, again, the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, who engaged in what is flying in a circle showing clear targeting of me. And it's also shared with the clear targeting and demonstrated in the specific environment where the fake sun has been remaining over this venue, like I documented during the 8 a.m. hour. I documented C. Torres gang stalking in this very venue at 2:47 p.m. I documented Corey Watson gang stalking in this very venue, both of them kidnapping me. Corey Watson under the 9:16 a.m. fake sun, and it's still over the same building. The entity that lacks self-control provides very damning evidence against itself and the entire state of California. And at the same time, on this day in 2024, the entity is maintaining the fake sun while LAPD is gang stalking me in Los Angeles under the fake sun that's over my head and in alignment to my bedroom as well, where I'm subject to that pattern of conduct. Again, I just want to remind you about who's going to federal prison. Not only Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, but also the demons of the Ontario Police Department, the state actors that are engaging in what is criminal surveillance, and it is not law enforcement. And they engaged in kidnapping on May 29, 2025. Nathan Morgan, badge number 21887. B. Hook, badge number 80551. C. Torres, badge number 21370. And L. Martinez. It is currently 4:09 p.m. where you're seeing the fake sun remaining stationary, and you just witnessed the Ontario Police Department again engaging in what is gang stalking by helicopter. And this is done in furtherance of murder and kidnapping while the entity is monitoring the evidence with regard to an intolerable and impermissible threat. This is the entity that is still stalking and threatening my life while aware that an American citizen is enforcing as though they're going to accomplish murder and kidnapping, regardless of the fact that I am enforcing my rights under the Constitution and my human rights. And that's also relevant to federal prison terms for the Ontario Police and the disbanding of the Ontario Police, and federal prison terms for the people of the state. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the video you just listened to is a very damning evidence that the entity is engaging in with regard to, hold on one second. All right, the demon that you see gang stalking in operation of a communication device with the white t-shirt on the cap, he's engaged in gang stalking openly. The Ontario Police is flying in circles over the venue, and the fake sun is over the same entrance that it is this morning that I documented at 8 and at 10 and 11 over the same front of the building, while you're looking at Starbucks over through the back of the same building, while the fake sun is over the front. But you're looking at light that is somehow bending. They have an extensive roof over that drive-through window as well. And not only is it not sunlight, and not only is the fake sun still over the building, the front of the building, but they have an extensive roof over that drive-through window. And you have engineered light that's plastered on the wall on the inside of the building, where the Starbucks personnel, the demons that work at Starbucks, are clearly engaging in gang stalking and psychological torture, stalking with light, in concert with the demon-possessed patrons, one of them wearing a white t-shirt and a black cap in operation of his device, which I gather, and he waits until I turn off my camera, which this demon knows, and then as I begin recording right now, which is why I said hold on a second ago, because that's when he crosses path and enters into the men's restroom, where he's engaging in surveillance, which the people of the state are doing in the video that you just listened to as well. 3 girls going to in the stall while the entity is stalking with impossible light, which I capture on video, and then I show you the illusion of the shadow of the building that's on the wall extending across the street while the fake sun sits in the same exact position. That's the demonic environment where the entity is clearly gang stalking me, as the LAPD is doing the same thing in Los Angeles on this day in 2024 as well. And it's relevant to the kidnapping that Brian Calvin Hartnell is committing using his California bar license, which is the basis to lose that license and also a basis of federal prison. And the Ontario Police Department confirmed that when they fly in a circle as I'm documenting that pattern of conduct, documenting that state actor, documenting the people of the state. The entity is doing so with, again, a clear lack of any sort of strategy with regard to the level of delusion. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded, and the demons, Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, L. Martinez, and C. Torres are indeed going to federal prison for the clear targeting that the Ontario Police are engaging in. And their clear targeting is not only shown through the specific environment where the Ontario Police flew in a circle, where I'm capturing very damning evidence, which is where they surface in helicopter, surface in dark parking lots, when I capture very damning evidence that they don't like, that makes them look like the stalkers that they are. And it also makes them look like stalkers when they are always surfacing around me in vehicles and in helicopters under a fake sun that remains over me all day long, and amongst impossible light activity that's flying all about in an inexplicable manner, speaking to the demon possession of the Ontario Police, who committed kidnapping by those officers who I name, and they're going to prison for that. The entity that's engaging in what is monitoring my evidence against them proceed to fly in a circle and helicopter. And this is the criminal system that I'm documenting on the venue of the internet, where federal stalking is underway by the people of the state who are stalking with light by driving on Euclid Avenue, and by the people of the state that are stalking with light by engaging in surveillance, pacing in and out of the bathrooms, and doing so while the entity is pacing by light by working at the venue and preparing the drinks and calling themselves employees of a facilitating venue. That is gang stalking with the city police department. That's relevant to the prosecution of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, because this is the entity that's acting together, maintaining the same exact specific environment at the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, which maintains the LPS court, where the entity that is gang stalking is exercising authority that it does not genuinely have under the law, while they're engaging in surveillance, and the system of corruption is where they're using their positions to accomplish a kidnapping by criminal defamation, that is defaming an American citizen that does not suffer from mental illness in order to accomplish a kidnapping. And the entity does that through the gang stalkers who are practicing law, the gang stalkers who are practicing medicine, the gang stalkers who are in law enforcement, and the gang stalkers who are the people of the state making false allegations targeting that American citizen. And it requires federal prison all the way around for the gang stalking medical professionals, the gang stalking attorneys and judges, the gang stalking people of the state that are engaging in criminal summoning with the Ontario police under these facts, who flew in a circle to punctuate with regard to the unmistakable evidence of criminal monitoring, which I am again documenting on another day. And that is speaking to the severe mental instability, the severe mental health conditions of the demons who are gang stalking. And at this point, they are clearly holding a banner that says guilty, 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 lock me up, because that's exactly what they just stated when they flew in a circle over an already damning video that does not help the co-defendants who are the people of the state. And it's also not going to serve to help them in federal court. Both angles of the criminal conspiracy to target an American citizen and furtherance of murder and kidnapping is going to be used to prosecute both the state directly and the state vicariously. So the entity is engaging in what is gang stalking in helicopter, which is proving that the entity is gang stalking me by helicopter in a manner and in an environment that is irreconcilable. It is also that which is beyond a coincidence that the LAPD is doing the exact same thing in the exact same manner, and that manner is also supernatural. The entity is doing so while I am documenting the kidnapping on the venue of the internet, which is where the same demons that lack self-control are accosting me, molesting me, and terrorizing me with impossible light, while then the demons are pacing in and out of that bathroom while that's happening. This is, again, the highly unintelligent entity whose criminal system that was supposed to be a secret, it is literally imploding, and it just blew up all over the place on my camera, and I'm going to put that on the internet as well. Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, L. Martinez, and C. Torres are indeed going to federal prison for the pattern of kidnapping that the state has committed while targeting me. And it's in addition to that, it's people like Jason Isaac Fields who have engaged in what is accomplishing fraudulent marriages to me while I'm being targeted by the state, which he is a part of in concert with his sex partner, Tracy Banks, who are targeting me in the manner in which I've shown, and relying on the government, relying on the population, the demon-possessed population at that, to target me in order to procure kidnapping and an ultimate murder, which is why Jason Isaac Fields is motivated to engage in a criminal act against me. It's not merely fraud, it's criminal because I'm being gang stalked, and it is done in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder and kidnap me, and that's why he's going to federal prison. Not only is this relevant, but this is speaking to all of those parties that are subject to inevitable federal prison. It includes Eric Corey Spencer, it includes the entity that is gang stalking, in other words, the people of the state whose name I know, who are directly engaging in and interested in and play a pivotal role because they have a role, well, they had a role in my life personally, which the government was using, incentivizing them to target me and conspire against me, and engage in, again, Jason Isaac Fields, a duplicitous, a demon, a sex offender, a psychopath who's having sex with my mother, which I don't know, and he's engaging in what is secretly marrying me behind my back. It's not a valid marriage. There is no consent. There is no actual marriage that I'm a part of, that I would ever consent to, that I have any knowledge of. I'm being targeted, and the evidence shows that I've been documenting the fact that I've been targeted for years, while Jason Isaac Fields was simultaneously procuring a fraudulent marriage behind my back. It's lacking capacity. There's no legal merit to it, and it's a criminal act, and it's his admission of gang stalking me as well. It's also his admission with regard to the motive and the purpose and what do you accomplish by fraudulently procuring a marriage with a targeted individual who ends up kidnapped, who has property that you want custody of, that you want control of. That's an admission to conspiring my murder and my kidnapping in concert with the state and the people of the state, like Tracy Banks. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. The entity is engaging in this and is doing so with a level of impunity and suggesting that they're going to murder me regardless of the body of evidence, that they're going to kidnap and accomplish it regardless of the evidence. And that's also what is relevant with regard to removing terrorists and sex offenders like Mike Lorenz, Paul Leon, Michael GERKEN, Alan D. WAPNER, and disbanding the Ontario Police Department, permanently removing every single last officer from law enforcement and federal prison for every documented terrorist and every documented kidnapper. Okay, and I document them by license plates. I document them like you see the fake sun over me. I remain at the library all day after 12 p.m. and I documented the fake sun upon my departure at 6 p.m. The entity has the fake sun over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario Police Department, not helping that already very problematic crime scene, commences flying in a circle just so that you can be sure where that crime scene is present. The Ontario Police, the state police that engaged in what is necessarily kidnapping on May 29, 2025, that's where the state is targeting me by the city police. That's what they just accomplished on video, and it's also an unlawful threat in addition to being an open admission to, yes, we're guilty, we are stalking, we are monitoring day and night, because that's literally what they just accomplished. And so do the people of the state echo that same admission in that video that you just listened to. And that you'll see, it'll be published on the video on the internet, and it is relevant to all of the gang stalkers who have medical licenses and law licenses. While they use them, practice law and they practice medicine, and they're gang stalking me at the same time. You're losing those licenses and you're going to prison. All right, the entity kidnapped me. So anytime that I have lost my liberty, you're going to prison for it. And that includes everybody that participated in any way during the course of that kidnapping, and justice requires it. And Brian Calvin Hartnell is going to federal prison. He's got 49 years in probate law, and he has 1 day of engaging in what is kidnapping me for me to document him, and it's just like that, he's losing his license and he's going to prison. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in domestic terrorism and psychological torture, and American citizens are suffering this on a daily basis. And they're doing it against people that have a lot less ability to represent themselves, and also, unfortunately, credibility. Because if you have somebody that, for example, has committed a crime, then they are less likely to be heard against an attorney or somebody that's alleging that they have mental illness, and they're lying on them. And you're not going to listen to them because they appear to be one that doesn't have credibility because of whatever is in their past. But this is a corrupt system that is actually in operation, and the entity targeted me. And if the entity would target me with a clean record, somebody that is a productive member of society, somebody that is accomplished and educated, and somebody that is even trained in the law, then they will do it to anyone. They will do it to anyone. Now, it happened to me in order for me to advocate on behalf of the ordinary target individual, but this is relevant with regard to the public corruption and the entity that is oppressing American citizens, and they are in positions where they cannot speak for themselves, and no one's going to believe them because they may have a blemish on their record or something, or they may have committed an offense in the past, but it doesn't mean that they're lying about attorneys engaging in what is unethical behavior or criminal. It becomes criminal because it's pursuant to state targeting. Remember, this is surveillance, so it's not anonymity, it's not mistaken conduct, it's not just ignorantly false, it's malicious. You're under surveillance, and so you know about the falsity of the statements that you're making, of the assertions that you're making. All right, so there's intent and malice there, and that's a crime by the government, and it's a malicious crime by the government, and the government is also highly unintelligent and literally unprepared to provide this level, and again, not only the evidence, but also the legal analysis that I'm provided when you give me this size of evidence. The entity is not prepared for that, and that's why you have that level of foolishness, but I'm not going to go ahead and scrutinize their stupidity, because it's providence for you to witness the exposure of the corrupt state of California, which is it's the United States government's P.O.C. The fake sun that's remaining over Starbucks like you see today, and is not over the Oba Family Community Library like it was yesterday, and is not remaining in Los Angeles over Alvarado Gardens like it was on this day in 24. That's letting you know about what's over you in Texas, what's over you in Minnesota, what's over you in Florida, what's over you in New York, what's over you in Louisiana and in Mississippi, because it's not the same sun. It's the light source, the indicator of with regard to a satanic means of surveillance. And this entity tried to do away with my life, tried to also ruin my reputation in doing so that no one would ever hear me were I to make allegations. But you cannot make these allegations without evidence. That's why the entity is targeting you in satanic methods, using illusions, things that people have never even heard of, so that it is axiomatic that you'll be written off as somebody that's mentally ill. That's also malice. And that's also why the police that are gang stalking go to federal prison. That's also why medical professionals and attorneys and judges that are gang stalking go to federal prison. That's why. because the threat, the harm inflicted, it is so great, it is so tremendous. Federal prison is required. And it is a matter of terrorism where a population is targeting one person. One person, okay? But you're looking at the entity that has bullied the entity with, you're looking at what is myself that has bullied the entity with evidence, and you're also seeing how they are they're not capable whatsoever. They're not intelligent at all. They're just wicked. That's it. They're just wicked. They're just wicked, and there is a price to pay for that. But that I'm going to leave that to Christ Jesus. But he has decreed that there's judgment, and judgment is going to come in the form of prosecution of the entire state of California. All right, and disbanding of police departments that have been targeted. I've documented them. And what is federal prison for those like Jason Isaac Fields and Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, those who I know who have been targeting me and have a role in my life, personal life, with regard to making sure that they can maneuver with the government and placing me in a circumstance where I would have no hope, all right? So they thought, of getting out of it, which is so evil, okay? It's currently 4:25 p.m. This is P.O.C. The entity is lined up in Starbucks. This is the crime scene. No question about what's going on. And the entity is still gang stalking, just like the Ontario Police Department are doing on an ongoing basis. This is what they were doing in that dark parking lot last night. They were gang stalking me. This is what they were doing under the fake sun with UPS at 12:51 in the afternoon yesterday. The Ontario Police in that vehicle number 1118, I believe, it's on video. He was gang stalking me, which is the department's pattern of conduct. The entire department is gang stalking me. This is what L. Rodriguez, I believe his name is, at 8:55 in the morning at this same cafe was doing yesterday morning. He was gang stalking me. This is what American Medical Response, demons that drive ambulances. And this is what they're doing on the streets when they're sounding their sirens. They're gang stalking me. This is P.O.C. It's 4:26 p.m. This is Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, P.O.C. All right, these psychopaths gang stalking with impossible light on the wall adjacent to the drive-through window, stalking under a fake sun that's remaining over the Starbucks, gang stalking with the Ontario Police, sharing mental illness while they demonstrated, stalking with impossible light that you see, and by flying in a circle and helicopter over me as I document very damning evidence. They are stalking in the path while amplified audible activity is being sound through the same wall where you see impossible light flying across it, amplified audible activity, as though also the seat is shaking, like I was speaking to that psychopath Raquel about. They're doing the same thing while you'll see a demon crossing path. They're monitoring with the amplified audible activity, monitoring with the sensational activity, monitoring with the impossible light activity, and monitoring under the fake sun. And this is based on the psychopath's hostility. They're going to be both diagnosed and they're also going to be federally prosecuted. This is ongoing harassment, terrorism, psychological torture, and sexual violence by the entity that is gang stalking. And the one with the deepest pockets, their name is Starbucks. And it's located at 507 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. And Starbucks is going to be prosecuted just like every other gang stalking commercial actor. It includes Avaneth Capital Management, it includes speaker companies. The entity is engaging in what is the P.O.C. with the people of the state who are psychopaths pacing in and out of the bathroom while they cross paths pursuant to that activity that's created simultaneously. And then the demons of the Starbucks personnel, I don't know, I have no idea. There's nothing there. I don't know. I don't know what to say. There's nothing that's the purpose of stalking with things that are supernatural, like impossible light activity. And you're going to be diagnosed for your actual mental illness, and you're going to be prosecuted for engaging in domestic terrorism. It is currently, and you're doing so in the shoes of the state. So you're going to be prosecuted as a terrorist, in fact. It's currently 4:29 p.m. The entity is doing that under the unfortunate video that the police just provided evidence against them, speaking to the fact that they're demons who are engaging in gang stalking in the cafe. If you want to look at a scary movie, you don't have to. You could just look at the documentation about Starbucks. They're a bunch of demons engaging in the P.O.C. It is currently 4:29 p.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, license plate. Stalking with sensational activity in concert with Starbucks. The Caucasian female with the blonde hair, 9JQP272. She gets into the passenger the passenger side of that vehicle. She's just running in, gang stalking, and then running out, engaging in psychological torture with the Ontario Police Department. Doing so because now they're monitoring and engaging in what is harassment because the demons are being documented, and then they're mad about that. These are psychopaths. So that's the P.O.C. of the demon-possessed psychopaths that are engaging in what is monitoring evidence that then they're hostile because I'm capturing it while they are stalking me, okay? P.O.C., 4:30 p.m. All right, you will see reflected in the images at 5:33 p.m. the real-time monitoring and stalking conduct of the entity that's monitoring the evidence. So I take pictures, demons get in position, come sit down, stand up, leave, go in and out of the bathroom, and the traffic lights also, because while they're driving by, the demons that you see sitting in the cafe gang stalking in plain view are stalking with that light activity that you also know is present, and they're also stalking under the fake sun that you know is present with the Ontario Police that you also know is present. The entity is doing so while the evidence against them is being published at 3:58 p.m. on video with OPD under the fake sun, replete with what is terrorism by the police flying in circles over the Starbucks, and all the Starbucks personnel are being prosecuted while the demons of the patrons are in the venue, over and under 18, engaged in federal stalking, and which is gang stalking as well. And you have the entity doing so with impossible light. This is supposed to be harassment with impossible light, and the light slinging by the psychopaths is supposed to stop the documentation from going up on the internet and stop a prosecution and people going to federal prison, such as Nathan Morgan and B. Hook, L. Martinez, and C. Torres. This is the entity that's engaging in what is that same pattern of conduct. There are psychopaths that are obsessively stalking, including my vagina. As you see, those under the age of majority are engaged in monitoring my vagina with that police department that's going to be disbanded. And they're engaging in this harassment and psychological torture with that police department that's going to be disbanded while they come into this venue to engage in ongoing targeting while I'm publishing the evidence as they commit the crime. So this is what you'll see in images reflected. You'll see the seconds, pay attention, I take pictures, and then you'll have the African American comes in when you're talking, and always be mindful about what the gang stalkers in California talk about, that Black Lives Matter. The black people in California are gang stalking with the corrupt law enforcement agency. And so that is shattering another illusion. It is as fake as the fake sun that's over the Starbucks, where this black-faced demon is over here monitoring another black woman with the corrupt police. Okay, so it's currently 5:35 p.m. You'll see that reflected in the images uploaded to the Google Drive. They're doing that while the evidence is uploading, and this is a whole citywide effort. Remember, it's all about me. That's why a fake sun is sitting over we're at 5:36 p.m. Remember, at 5 p.m., the entity has a fake sun outside of my bedroom window in Los Angeles today, where LAPD is gang stalking by helicopter, targeting me, and it's very clearly targeting me. It's also very clearly targeting where the Ontario PD, the city of Ontario, the people of the state in Los Angeles and in Ontario, California are doing the exact same thing in a manner that is irreconcilable with nature, and also in a manner with regard to the impossibility that it would ever be a coincidence. It's impossible. But you'll see how the entity likes to bring in their children that are also bad actors, looking directly at me, looking directly at while I'm presumably taking a selfie, but that little demon child knows that there's documentation coming, being created, and that's why she's looking directly at me. They engage in stalking with activity while they're under the age of majority. They act in sync. That demonic synchronicity is existent with these little demon-possessed minor children that are stalking in the path and engineer light while their parents bring them in here to engage in the federal offense of domestic terrorism and psychological torture on behalf of the Ontario Police Department. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. They make purchases. They're on the surveillance cameras. The employees, the Starbucks maintains an ongoing business records. All of this is relevant to the prosecution of the entity that is failing in stopping an ongoing prosecution. But nonetheless, you are witnessing the evidence of their severe mental illness while they engage in these tactics that are both juvenile, but they're also terrorism. It's also terrorizing because they're demons, and it's pursuant to stalking, and it's in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. But at the same time, it's very, very juvenile and sophomoric. It's pathetic. But nonetheless, this is what the entity has. They are taking turns. Demons coming in. They'll take shifts. One leaves, and then, or not one necessarily, but a group leaves or one leaves. But they're maintaining presence, okay? And that is shared with the demons that are working at the venue. A very obvious and plain prosecution. Just want to give you a narration with regard to how pathetic the demon-possessed are. They're all stalking me together, and then they're slinging light while I'm publishing the evidence. Slinging light is both to make fun of the demon-possessed. I'm making fun of them, but they're going to be diagnosed for this psychopathic conduct, for this sexual perversion, for this obsessive and psychotic stalking conduct as an entity, and they're also going to be prosecuted for it. So you have the family of demons leave, and you have the demon-possessed African-American enter in on behalf of the entity while the light slinging goes on, and a psychopath keeps their head down while they are stalking and monitoring with the police. It's criminal conduct that Starbucks is going to be prosecuted for as well. It's currently 5:38 p.m. This is P.O.C. at the same address where the fake sun is remaining as of 8 o'clock this morning. So let's count together. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you've got, so 9 hours where black people are gang stalking with the law enforcement, as opposed to what is that Black Lives Matter that they want you to believe. The reason why law enforcement agencies are engaging or killing black folks. where you're ignorant about criminal surveillance. It is currently 5:38 p.m. This is P.O.C. Ontario Fire Department criminal summoning at 5:40 p.m. They're driving north on Euclid Avenue, crossing path under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. They're monitoring. It's federal stalking that Michael GERKEN is engaged in while engaged in what is criminal surveillance with the people of the state in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. P.O.C. There's Ontario PD gang stalking with the people of the state, crossing path. This is East Street, and that's Impossible Light moving across the building while a demon coming out of the Starbucks drive-thru is gang stalking. Their license plate, while they're monitoring with the Ontario Police Department, engaging in terrorism, that's directed light, not headlights. 9L, that's 9LID001, even light activity on that demon's license plate. All right, those are the convicts gang stalking with Starbucks all night long. Greeting with helicopter activity upon exit, flying in circles over the Starbucks while I'm capturing the fake sun that remained over the venue all day long. The Ontario Police Department could not more already be convicted with regard to publishing the unprecedented conduct of criminal surveillance with the people of the state, exposing public corruption and demon possession at that as well. It's currently 10:06 p.m. where the Ontario Police are proving to be engaged in stalking me, and they're telling the world that they've been stalking me as a corrupt police department, engaging in a series of kidnappings. For that, everyone engaging in those kidnappings are going to federal prison. Here's my shadows, just so that you can see the perpendicular light activity where all the people of the state are gang stalking. And they engage in psychological torture together while the police stalk you, and they're engaging what is sharing in the elements of monitoring their demons. This is the gang stalking city of Ontario and Ontario, California. This is P.O.C. That's the Ontario Police stalking. Flying irrelevant position, that's P.O.C. Their criminal conduct is going to prosecute the people. The people's criminal engagement is going to prosecute the city of Ontario, and the Ontario Police are being disbanded. This is P.O.C. This is the entity that's been monitoring my vagina all day long, following me all around all day under a fake sun and all night, while the entity keeps maintaining surveillance everywhere that I'm going, following me around. The Ontario Police has no, they don't have any authority under the law. I'm going to prosecute them. This is P.O.C. Okay, the video you just listened to is pursuant to the ongoing gang stalking that I'm subject to and the ongoing surveillance of the evidence that I am gathering, which the entity that is in fact stalking, as the evidence proves, is also engaged in criminal surveillance on the venue of the internet, where this same gang stalker that's stalking me by helicopter, the Ontario Police, as I walk out of the Starbucks, this is a pattern, helicopter activity flying in a circle over me as I exit Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard, like I documented on June 3rd, 2025, the date of release from kidnapping by that police department that engaged in waging false allegations with the people of the state. Tracy Banks, that third-party facilitating venue, Woodside Senior Apartments. The entity gang stalking by helicopter today at the Starbucks, like I referenced in the video that you just listened to, at 3:58 p.m. where the fake sun's been over that Starbucks as I'm capturing it during the 8 a.m. hour. And then you're mindful of everybody that walked in that Starbucks gang stalking. Corey Watson, C. Torres, documented kidnappers of the Ontario Police Department under that fake sun. L. Rodriguez in the morning when the fake sun is covered up. But I've documented the fake sun being there even before his arrival, gang stalking on June 13, 2025 at approximately 8:55 a.m. I've got the fake sun at that Starbucks at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m. Every hour of the day, where the Ontario Police is gang stalking and doing so with the people of the state. And greeting with helicopter is an unlawful threat to my life, while the entity is engaging in what is removing evidence off the venue of the internet as well. So I want to document that while the government is engaged in targeting with the intent to murder and kidnap, they are simultaneously on the venue of the internet removing my documentation about their criminal activity off of the internet. So that is rendering it private when I have made it public. That's the June 14, 2025 podcast today that is published, and the June 13, 2025 podcast that is published. Again, the entity is going online and removing the evidence, and that is pursuant to criminal surveillance that the government is engaging in. That's pursuant to knowledge that the stalker is aware of about the documentation of their stalking me, and they're still stalking while simultaneously trying to suppress the evidence of it, while they're, again, stalking in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. This is all relevant to who is going to federal prison: Nathan Morgan, B. Hook, C. Torres, and L. Martinez. They're going to federal prison. It is currently 10:17 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, documenting the entity gang stalking by helicopter at the moment that I'm processing my podcast. I'm at 413 Euclid Avenue, 415 Euclid Avenue, where the Rogers Flowers and the barbershop is located. And this is where the Ontario Police flies over by helicopter to communicate a threat, to threaten me while you're stalking me, because I'm telling on them for stalking me. So as I publish or work on publishing my podcast, this is where the helicopter activity happens. Just like you saw on video, where I'm documenting the fake sun, where I'm documenting the stalking with light conduct, the demonic environment, the psychological torture. That's where the helicopter activity happens. While I'm documenting a police department stalking me in the spectacular manner, including helicopters, which is shared by the Los Angeles Police Department, that are also today under a fake sun that's kept over me, targeting me with helicopters, which is a well-documented pattern of conduct in Los Angeles, where I lived and worked in 2024. 7YPZ 498, 9PYD 356. Gang stalking with the Ontario Police in concert with the people of the state who are stalking. The city is stalking, and stalking is systematically underway on the roads and the highways, and it's referred to as traffic. They're engaged in federal stalking on the roads and the highways and in the sky space. 9RCG 857, 9JDZ 803, 9JSC 067. It is currently 10:26 p.m. So the entity is engaging in what is trying to threaten me. That's not trying to. The entity is engaged in threatening me by stalking in a helicopter while I'm putting the podcast on the internet. I will continue to put the podcast on the internet, and I'm also going to continue to put on the internet the fact that the stalker is threatening me by stalking in helicopters, flying around me. This is a police department that's engaging in what is stalking me and is trying to obstruct justice by trying to threaten me and in other words, deter me from publishing it online. The psychopathic disorder is severe. The demons are going to prison, and they are going to go to prison for a long time. The Ontario Police Department is totally illegitimate, and they are done with law enforcement. I can't stress that enough. It is currently 10:27 p.m. This is P.O.C.